What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Lost Talks podcast. This is episode number 45. I hope everyone's having a great day, great evening, great morning. However, whenever you're listening to this, we appreciate you for listening. How's everyone doing in the room right now? What's up?
You know, new color, new vibe, new energy, new signs. You know, we got things are coming in. You know,
a little bit.
We're not just talking shit because I feel like we probably said a month ago that we were renovating.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, but that's IKEA's fault mostly, and
it's COVID, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just blame it on COVID.
Yeah,
things are coming in slowly.
Been doing. Yeah. It is. No, it actually is COVID because I mean, most I feel like, you know, people are probably used to online shopping now, especially with COVID. But knowing that, you know, you get that email saying, "Hey, we got your order," and also we don't know when it's gonna fucking come.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing with IKEA is like they don't give you an approximation. At least the other places will tell you like, yeah, we might be like expect like a couple days or a week or two past whatever estimated time we gave you. But IKEA was just not saying anything, so. Yeah, we had to I got lights and a sofa and a couple other things from them, but then I had to cancel that order, so we had to restart. And we were waiting for the paint to, we were waiting for the furniture to, you know, figure out the paint. But you know, you just gotta start. Sometimes you just gotta just say fuck it and just start going in. You know.
Yep.
Let it happen as it comes.
Exactly.
We were thinking like, should we do the podcast on a table with chairs, or should we do it on like the couch, with a low table?
Couch, man.
Couch with a low table.
And just be vaping.
You know, and we can stretch the arms out.
Stretch the legs.
We could we could set up the couch so that becomes like our spot. Like I was thinking that would be this, because I guess that's how our old format was like we put the guests on the couch, but we could.
I want to sit on the couch.
Yeah, like we're the ones who are gonna be here for the most part, so we should be the most comfortable. Like
facts.
Yeah.
Or we get a table, classic like podcast setup with a round table with the arms, and you know,
I could get a low table too still, like
a low table with the couch.
It's a sofa bed with the what do you call it, that day bed thing, or the chaise or whatever it's called, the extendo clip, you know.
Okay.
So mans could be lying down.
The banana clip.
Yeah, the banana clip. Mans could be lying down on the banana clip while the podcast is happening, you know? Like
on the banana clip. Pause.
I just wanted to, before starting, just mention the tragedy that's happened in Lebanon, the
explosion,
the very large explosion. And I saw the video. Most of us probably did. Fucking crazy, man. Like, just I couldn't imagine seeing that right in like your hometown or like capital city. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine something like that going off at Lakeshore here, and just like all that destruction and people, you know, losing their lives or limbs or whatever happened.
Yeah.
So
as of now, we don't know the cause. They say it's an accident right now. That's there was some warehouse that had
stock up of some nitro,
something like that.
Something very explosive.
Something explosive.
There's large
some type
amounts
of explosive material.
Explosive. Apparently, they knew about it. It was stocked there for several years. The president stated something about it being there for a long time, 7 years. So I don't know if it was fireworks or that, but it might have been an accident. We don't know, but basically, it was tragedy. So you guys want to help, you can donate to Lebanese Red Cross. They're only the Lebanese Red Cross. I know there's a lot of people taking advantage of that, like false organizations trying to take your money.
That's a good point.
Only donate to Lebanese Red Cross.
In general, too, I heard change.org is like, in terms of the money stuff, like you can sign petitions, but I heard the money system is a little suspect. So it's always good to make sure, like when you are donating, to just do a little vet on the...
Do a little bit of research on who you're donating to. I know it's donating, it's great, but just double check who you're giving your money to.
I'm sure
because there's a lot of people that scam.
Yeah, especially now, you know, because people are feeling more vulnerable. They're feeling like more powerless, and we're at home more, so we can, you know, process and absorb all these things that are going on more. So you want to be more charitable, more helpful, but it's always good to make sure that what you're doing is actually helping the people in need, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just had to state that before starting.
Yeah.
So we had some topics.
We didn't really have topics, people. Like Ian just wants us to go on topics. We didn't really have any.
That's like structure.
Yeah. What else happened this week?
shit.
A lot of shit.
Yeah.
Half the shit.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Well, half the shit we can't even say.
I know, a lot of shit we
Like-
can't even talk about on here.
Like we just can't talk about it.
It rained this week.
It
We're finally
rained.
getting some cool weather. I feel it's going down to like
Yeah.
12 today, which
Yeah.
is
I had a
okay.
nice sleep the other
Yeah.
night. It was great, yo.
Yeah.
It's nice not waking up in the morning with a pool of sweat already.
Yeah,
you know?
drenched,
Yeah.
Yeah.
drenched in just piss and.
I'm trying to feel like something did happen this week or last week. I can't remember now what it was.
You know what happened today?
What happened today?
We just updated and released the
Yep.
the Toronto Uprising playlist.
The
Got a couple
August
bands.
edition.
Yeah, August edition. That's what we could talk about. We can get into that. Moving into you a little bit, you know.
We'll get there.
Yeah, but
It'll end up there. Yeah.
But yeah, we dropped a update to the playlist, Toronto Uprising. We're trying to make sure that this is at least like the second biggest playlist in the city, just for upcoming acts and
Facts.
everybody in the city. Again, this is a playlist where we're just showing genuine love.
And it goes back to, I think, a big topic that we have talked about a lot, and we are going to probably going to continue talking about, but just the Toronto music scene in general, Toronto art scene, and like we're trying not to be people who talk and say, hey, here's all the problems that are going on with the Toronto music scene. I think a couple of weeks ago we brought up a few big points about how the Toronto music scene isn't supporting each other and letting everybody grow. This is one of those things that we decided would help. It's a only Toronto Canadian playlist. No, there's no submission fees. There's no. It's not supposed to be a thing that's gets 1 million followers and becomes like another Paulin or whatever one of those playlists. It's supposed if it does. If it does, that's the whole point. Is it's supposed to be it's weird. Like as artists, when you do things that are actually selfless, like this doesn't benefit you guys in any way.
No, it doesn't. Like to be fair, you can't really make money directly from playlists. So like what we're doing with the playlist is totally just for the greater good, just for helping artists get more exposure.
Yeah.
And it's a two-way street. You guys have to support the playlist too, because you guys have to shout it out, and the people who are on it need to share it, so then other artists know about it.
And say if there's any heaters or
Exactly.
underground things that are coming up out of Toronto that you think need that to be in that conversation or to be in that same attention, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this gathering place, right?
I will say that was one of the annoying things for me. I was putting out bare posts for people. I was putting out posts even on my personal account, bro. Anybody send in music. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for some R&B. I'm looking for some females. Anybody send us music, any genre. I want anything. Just send us music. And I got 5 people sending some things. Even though I know I'm looking at who viewed our shit, and I'm like, you dropped a song. You know somebody that has music out for sure. And nobody's sending shit in.
Nobody cares. Bro, I get it. We ain't Spotify.
Yep.
And everyone, again, even with playlists, people care about clout. They want to be on Spotify.
But the thing about Spotify is if you watch any of there's tutorial videos or just they give you little things about how to get on their playlists. And even when you go into the Spotify analytics, they'll show, because they separate the analytics between the Discover Weekly and their playlists, daily mixes, and then they have the user created playlists. And they say that to get on these Spotify created playlists, you need to get on those user playlists. The more of those that you get on, the more you engage with just regular Spotify users and you get on their playlist, that's how the Spotify algorithms pick up your shit.
Exactly.
That's a good point. If you want to, and it doesn't mean just ours, but for example, if you want to be on Northern Bars, you want to be on the new Toronto, whatever, you're probably going to have to be on ours or something like ours first.
Yeah.
If you ain't even getting on ours, then
unless you know the person directly who makes that playlist. It's possible
at Spotify, it's
possible. Bring it back to when Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez were trying to get their #1. That's what they're saying. They're like, make sure you guys add my song to your playlists so that it can be then put into other playlists.
Yeah.
So even at the top level, literally at the top level, they're still worried about, or they're still concerned about those things, like
the user plays. Yeah, because all those streams snowball. Like the more literally the more playlists your song is on, no matter what the size, if it's 20 or 100,000 followers, like you're getting more exposure, and that's snowballing regardless. So just I wouldn't even the whole like, oh, this playlist has 20 followers is not worth my time is bullshit. Like no, it is, because like you're still getting streams. Like why the fuck not? Like
exactly.
The fuck?
There's still people
like,
that are listening to your music that never listen to your music.
That's just like an ego thing or something. Cause come on.
Yeah, we have a couple people that'll like send their stuff in, which is good.
We appreciate it.
We got some submissions today while I was making it. So shouts out those people. They're on the list. But yeah, man, just support the playlist, man. It's for the city. It's for Canadian music. You know what I mean? Yeah. We have a couple other artists that aren't from Toronto on there. From Montreal, from Vancouver. Actually, I forgot to add them. I gotta add Manila Gray. They're from Vancouver, so I have to add them onto the playlist probably.
Yeah, they're dope.
But yeah, man, just support it. It's just fucking follow the fucking playlist and run it through one time.
See, that's the thing too. Yeah, like we talk about the Toronto music scene, but we also talk about the Canada music scene. Yeah. The Canada music scene has all the problems that the Toronto music scene has. So it's not like
even more.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to it's just we know more about the Toronto music scene.
Exactly. I can't.
So it's actually the people, if you are in everywhere else in Canada, like those are the submissions that we want. Because I do want to hear, because we were roasting fucking Calgary and Edmonton for the rap scene.
I'm sure they got some
I want to hear the hardest.
I want to hear the good shit. Though, you know what I mean?
Like, we got some country rappers.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
I see one video, some mans. I think they're in fucking Saskatchewan or something.
Yeah.
Doing some drill shit out there. I was like,
that's hard.
Crazy, bro.
SK drill, bro.
Yeah, bro.
SK drill.
Fighting a moose.
Yeah, pulling up on a moose. Crazy, bro. But yeah, man, just support the fucking playlist. Like, it's not that hard. I hate to say this, but this shit's free. Like, it's not hard. You hit follow and you listen to the playlist quietly.
You may not like every song.
Yeah,
cool.
That's fine.
You can fucking skip a song.
It's a playlist with diverse artists on it. I want to make sure we could show people what type of music we make here. Again, not only in Canada, but here in our city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you don't like it, at least you appreciate the fact that it's coming out of the, you know, that there is this scene being tackled in the city, right? Like,
Six Buzz is not doing that for you. Your Northern Bars is not doing that for you.
Yeah, they like.
It's literally Killy, Nav.
Like those playlists, again, they favor people who are signed to large labels or are in talks with very large labels already. Like there's no true independence on those. There's maybe a few, but
there are independents, but it's the mans that have the attention that we don't want to have the attention.
And it's
longer.
like it's always just enough of the independent mans, so it's like. Okay, it's like, okay, yeah, you're not just doing the mainstream bands. It's like they literally know that they're putting in just the amount of like unknown names.
Yeah,
so
like they'll throw a Sean Leon on, you know, like whatever. Like they'll throw a couple like, but they're still like relatively well-known independents.
Yeah, they're not putting no, less than 1,000 people on their playlist.
Oh hell no, hell no!
mean?
You gotta have at least like a song or two that's gonna have 50K streams or more, like at least.
Yeah.
You know, like they're I don't know. They probably got a monthly listener limit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Probably,
if it was like you gotta have at least like 50K monthly listeners, or you're not on it.
Yeah,
we don't care about that.
No, like we have artists on there. I'm sure they only have less than 1,000 monthly listeners.
Bro, I was moving some of our artists off the playlist, just because it's old news now. Sorry, and some of them have like 40 monthly listeners, 20 monthly listeners, and I'm like, sick. Yeah. Like, at least you got a chance to be on the fucking playlist. And those were the people that were sending us love when they found out they were on the playlist. Because it's like they don't get that recognition. On
I've never understood that. Like, for my own music, with Tropic came out last year, and a lot of that, and also just a lot of the press. Because that one I had like an actual like PR team on it, so I could see like some emails that I might not have access to before because they just wouldn't respond to my emails based on because it's based on my email address. Yeah. But seeing some of the emails, it'd be like, oh yeah, like this song is cool, but it's it's older than 3 months, and we only kind of accept new music. And so it was either that or they would say that this artist isn't big enough. Like I've seen that more times than I've seen like, I don't like this song. Which
exactly.
I would much more prefer because
tell
it's
me you
just
don't
like
like the song.
Yeah, because it's just like, okay, cool. But like when the criteria is like, I do like the song, but our website is only for music that's released within 3 months, and it's only for artists who have a name or they have something going for them. It's not necessarily, it doesn't need to be the million monthly listeners. Sometimes it just needs to be like in your bio you put like, oh, they're signed to this person, or they're being mentored by this person, or whatever. You just need to have the right name in it, right? And like why the 3 month thing, like why is that a thing? If you think about
stupid,
if you think about like pretty much all artists, I wouldn't even say just artists like us who have to like kind of hold on to music. I feel like even pop artists at the top, like it works on both levels, like because those people who have those major label contracts, they aren't able to release their music right away, but then people like us who have they have no contacts, it's like you finish a project and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with it? And then you end up having to wait another 2-3 months to put together some sort of marketing plan just based on the cold emails that you throw out, right? And by that time that you're already done, it's happened before where I've wanted to release a song, even though the song's been 6 months or a year, 2 years old. I get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is gonna get released, and then even after that point, it's like, okay, it's been 3 months now because I dropped it on my SoundCloud just for everybody, and then it's like, okay, sorry, it's old now.
Yeah,
but it's like, but the song's already been like 2 years old for me. Yeah, how do you not understand that? If there's only 20 monthly listeners on my fucking bio, it doesn't matter if the song is 8 years old.
That's what I was trying to say.
It doesn't matter if it's 20 years old.
You could just delete that shit off.
I mean?
You could probably just delete that shit off Spotify.
Yeah.
And then re-upload it and be like, oh, look, it's new again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they wouldn't even know.
And then they still, those blogs still try to put in their bio or put in their persona that they love discovering undiscovered.
You're fucking liars.
Yeah.
Whoa. Did I say that?
Whoa.
That came out?
Because like you're only looking for new music, and you're not looking for artists who don't have something that's already going to set them up so that when you blog about them 3 months later, they're inevitably going to blow up because they already have label connections or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? Like they're not looking for somebody that was undiscovered. Nobody's seen them, but you happen to get this email, and like you're not going to just take it because it's it's a hot song.
Exactly. Anyways, Toronto Uprising playlist. Make sure you check it out. We got Roz Fresco on there. We got No Tourists. We got Claremont II. We got some low-key new Kevin A.
Yeah.
We got
low-key Kevin A.
Yeah, we got that Beyond Location on there. We got some Yara on there. We got Lucala on there.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it right away because it's the first segment.
I know. We got some Joel on there. Yo, man, we got some Wiz the MC. Yo, we got some. Yo,
come some 750, some throwback 750.
Yo, so I got Ova on there.
There's a 750 on there too.
Yeah,
Ova right at the end.
Right at the end, to end it out.
Yeah. Just because that song was.
But
slept
yo, support the playlist, please. Just not begging you, just do it.
Just do it because
whatever.
it's like
especially
you guys
if you're on it, like
exactly because these are the same people that are checking out our stuff. Honestly, are artists and other creatives that want to get on and they want to build the relationships. They want to be part of the community. They want to do this shit, but they're not reaching out. You guys are fucking shy.
The goal.
Listen to the fucking playlist. Yeah. Follow us. DM us your music. Like we're down. We listen to your music.
Oh yeah, we do. Like
we'll listen to it. We'll email you back.
Yeah, we send emails back. We're not at that point where we get like 20.
If you send me an email,
a day.
If you even send me an email to my personal Jamail@lostandnostalgia.co email, I will critique your music. Yeah. I've done that for several artists already. They just send me this shit. Yo, just let me know what you think of this.
And we're not getting paid to do that.
Exactly.
That is free. Like we take our free time to just do that.
Yeah.
Like
I was watching a beat battle today with Kenny Beats that he does on Twitch. I'm like, yo, I would love to do that because we have like if we ever did get more of a platform, we wouldn't have the time to do that anymore. So that would be something that would be great to do right now, where you could like critique people. And it's like it's not a thing that we're not gaining anything out of it, and we're not trying to say that we're better than you, or like it's just honest opinions. Like honest
I just want to show love and then give my opinion on stuff so that if maybe my opinion will help you become a better artist, or, you know, change up that one thing on your project, or make you look at your music in a different way, you know, maybe not, but opinions are a lot of things that you aren't getting from your friends right now.
And also, like, we know what it was like to be emerging artists. So it's like, we know when you're in that stage where you know that the quality of music that you're making isn't at the level of, you know, where you want to be. So that's the time that you do want to hear those things. But we kind of had to just push through all that shit. And like, we knew that, you know, it wasn't there yet, but like, we knew that we knew what pieces there were, but it would be nice to hear that from other people, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just be honest about your shit. Like, if you just started, you're probably not going to be good. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But like, obviously people can pick out the good parts about it. And like, you just have to be honest with yourself first, I guess.
Exactly.
So I know that's a W for sure.
Yeah. The Raptors are just eating the backs.
They're eating their
We got the game behind us here,
back.
so guys. Yeah, they're winning by a lot. So they're not.
Yeah, shout out the NBA. There's been some great games.
Yeah, man.
It's been one of the nice points of, I think,
this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think other sports are gonna flop, and the basketball is gonna really succeed.
I was gonna say, you guys notice CFL didn't come back?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually have no money.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah, they barely. I feel like they barely have money like during a regular season.
Yeah, dude. No CFL this year, guys.
But baseball started.
Yeah.
They started, but they're getting like
man's already dead.
Yeah,
they already have COVID.
There was one the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they went to a club. One team went to a club, and one team went to.
They shouldn't be allowed to go to
somewhere.
clubs,
and then so like they just can't play a game for like a week now, and it's like, you know, baseball, they play every fucking day, so it's like they've delayed already like 5-6 games or something.
Stupid.
Yeah.
That's not gonna last.
No, yeah. And they already wanted to play, I think it was like 66 games, so I don't know, like, and because usually a normal baseball season is 160, so I don't know like what they're trying to do with this season. But basketball, they look like they did a good job.
They're handling it. Adam Silver's doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's one of those owners or execs or whatever you want to call him, where I fuck with him.
Yeah.
Like, he's always like been on top of shit.
Yeah.
I like the whole Black Lives Matter. I like the whole put a message on your back. I like the fucking Zoom crowd with the webcams in the back. And anybody that isn't playing basketball is masked up pretty much. And like, I like
everything that they're doing.
It all makes sense.
Like letting other players watch the game, like in the back.
And they're distancing.
The ref calls.
The ref calls. You can actually hear them. Like, I wouldn't mind this for a little bit. Like,
I remember seeing at first like something he made a statement saying like he wouldn't let the players kneel, but clearly they're all kneeling. So that's cool. That was the one thing where I'm like, all right, yo, come on, chill.
Yeah.
Obviously these guys are gonna fucking kneel.
Yeah,
and then
wild.
they did. So like, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So Adam Silver's doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be able to run this whole basketball thing for however long COVID is, and if they ever need to, then they could do this again. You know, because this is the good thing about everything that's been happening with COVID. It's like we've all kind of figured out ways to do things alternately.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, I enjoy going to a game, but like mans would go once every 2 seasons, maybe.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Because prices are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just expensive.
Yeah. Especially this season. We probably wouldn't be able to get a ticket because
you wouldn't be able
defending
to
champs,
right?
Right?
You wouldn't be able to get Raptors ticket.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I just want to mention one more thing about the playlist.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Go for it.
I think I think last message with it, the overall goal is just to create a playlist that if you're an artist coming up, you can rely on it to grow.
Yeah.
And that's it, because there's literally when you're an artist that has no money, you record in your bedroom, whatever, you have no clout.
That's the time that you're looking for somebody to tell you, like, keep going. If they're not, you're not looking for somebody to say, like, you're a star. Yeah. You're just looking for them to say, like, hey, we support what you're doing.
What you're doing. Exactly. We like the music.
Yeah.
Exactly. If there could be a resource, a free resource that you don't have to make some sort of deal, or you don't have to give something back, because we're not asking for anything in return.
We don't even ask you to follow the playlist, which none of you fucking do, by the way.
I mean, if you follow the playlist, that's good. Or I don't even care about the follow. Just share it on your social media.
Yeah, we don't even ask. And you guys a lot of you guys don't do that either.
Share it on your social media, so then other artists that follow you see it, and then they look into it. Exactly. And it's going to snowball. Like, So, anyways, yeah,
we might take their fans.
Facts.
Exactly.
I don't know.
We don't know. We're trying to help you.
We want a resource that's free, that isn't going to require any kind of deal or whatever. An artist that's coming up can literally have the chance to be on a playlist that has like 100,000 followers. You know, the size of like a real Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
That they don't have to do anything for.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty crazy. Like the time has changed. Like, you know, streaming is the way to new music now, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think even just the difference, the 5-year difference between when we were emerging artists, you know, at the top of this decade, we could still submit to blogs. You know, like now I don't feel a need to submit to blog. Like I haven't felt a need in like 5 years,
In
but
a long time, yeah.
but you know, like there was a time when as an emerging artist, like I could still submit to like indie blogs and I would get like 100 plays or whatever off their blog, because people still actually did go to indie blogs, but those aren't things now, you know. Like now it's playlists like this is the new indie blog. It's these small playlists, right?
Yeah. And I know damn well, and someone will argue, well, maybe there's not enough people wanting to listen to upcoming artists. That's bullshit, because I know there's a market for it. There's definitely those people who want to find new artists.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what we want that resource to be. We want to be a place where you can show up every month and be like, oh shit, who's popping? Who's on the come up in Toronto?
Exactly.
Oh, there's a list for me right there.
Find some new people.
Especially with a place like Toronto, like which has this you could get people like not from Toronto who are looking and like, okay, what's popping in Toronto right now, but they don't have those resources, right? But people don't realize like we need to build these things up ourselves, you know. Like Atlanta didn't just come up.
Yeah,
you know.
How do you find new artists? Like, and we've talked about this before, but how do you find new artists nowadays? Like, I know you could do the research.
Yeah,
but most people don't put the people, the average Joe isn't putting in the time to go in. They don't give a fuck. They just whatever the labels feed them on the radio, on YouTube suggestions,
and those big playlists.
Is who they're knowing. They're not knowing about the Tamirs and the Kevin A's and shit yet. But you know, as of now, you know, they need.
There's always been that market. I'm part of that market of people that is always looking for new artists. So.
Yeah, because you're not like I'm talking about the average person, like my girlfriend who's trying to find new rappers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she ain't.
That's a but that's a good difference. Is like there are people who want new music, but they don't know where to go for it. And it's I remember that too when I was like, 14, 15 or whatever. I was like, I want new shit, but I don't know where to go for it. And it's just kind of like, you got to look for it yourself. But I was 14. I had the time to go and do that. People are like adults. They don't have the time to do this shit now, right?
Exactly.
But we have so much more resources, like things like Spotify, you know, like you can, and that's the thing too, like you can, like when I was new to Spotify, I was like, okay, this shit's mainstream, I'm never gonna find anything new on here, but I found ways now to like be able to discover new music through, like it's just the way that, you know, you as a person kind of search out things, but sometimes, especially us who are like the curators or the creators of this shit, like we need to see like where these things are hard for like normal consumers not to be able to find out these things, and we have to be the ones to like figure it out, and that's what Toronto Uprising is. So
Facts
done.
Welcome back, Lawson Talks 45.
Let me just get this Celtics game on, you know.
Cool. Jay, I was about to say Jay as well. Raps just won. Congrats.
Handily, they're killing
Raps
it.
Are on
I'm
fire,
so glad,
bro.
because I remember, you know, before the NBA was restarting, everybody was like, who you got? You got the Bucks, you got the Lakers, you got the Clippers.
Nobody was talking about us.
They were talking about the Celtics. They were talking about
not the champs.
The Pacers before the champs.
Oh, they lost Kawhi. They're shit now. Like, that's what everyone's thinking. We don't need Kawhi.
While we're still second in the East.
LeBron said it himself. Yeah. LeBron said it.
Yeah, because he got his ass ate. That's why he had to say it.
Yeah, he did.
No, but to be fair, when he broke our back that year, the year before, was the year before, or 2 years before Kawhi, when we were in the conference finals, and everybody thought we were gonna make it, and I was like, I didn't know why we were even in the fucking conference finals. Or was it the second round or conference finals? It was conference, right? Against Miami, against LeBron?
No.
It was second round?
It was second round. That's why and we thought we were done.
Yeah.
We thought we were done, and then we thought I think it was second round that year.
Yeah, either way, like I remember LeBron dismantled our backs, and everybody was like, "Oh no, we had such a good run." I'm like,
the second round was when we got swept, right?
Yeah. And I was still like, and LeBron still gave us praise, and I'm like, "Yo, you're giving us too much praise, bro."
Yeah,
like, you for the past, up until that point in LeBron's career, he knew that the East was a breeze. So
yeah, exactly.
It's good to see a little bit of competition. Now it's Milwaukee, it's Giannis and us, but nobody's talking about us.
Exactly.
They're talking about Boston. They're not there yet.
No, they're not. We are in a good position.
They're just blatantly dissing us all the time, bro.
I don't know if it's
because
we're Canadian.
They're Americans, man.
It's because we're a Canadian team. It always
us.
is a Canadian team thing.
It's a Canadian thing. People don't respect Canada at all. They don't respect our music.
Shit.
They don't respect anything that we do, but they love us secretly, and they don't know we're fucking Canadian.
We love all the people we give you, literally. Do I have to name them? We don't have to name
the
them.
top artists in the music world.
Top R&B artist or pop or whatever you want to call them. Top rapper.
Yeah,
top
exactly.
Fucking top pop too.
Top.
Biebs is from Canada, so I mean he counts. Whatever. Top. It's all top.
Top.
Celine Dion.
Shania Twain.
We pulled up the list, bro.
We did.
They were fucking rich, yo.
Yeah.
Celine Dion's caked, yo.
Celine Dion. Fuck.
Jeez. I'm just busting down some weed.
Busting it.
Yeah.
We got the same day delivery on the
Kush Eyes.
On the Kush Eyes.
Shouts out Black Glove. Not Black Love. Black Glove.
Shout out Black Love too.
But shouts out Black Love. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Black Love matters.
Black Love matters.
Protect black women.
Yeah.
Yes. We're all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
there are fruit flies out here, yo.
It's that time of year. I have fruit flies in my house. I was at Blurda's house yesterday. She has fruit flies all over the place. At Ian's house, there's a 1-2 upstairs, though, not in the basement.
We got rotting bananas upstairs.
That'll do it.
That's what it is.
That's the one, yeah.
Because those bananas in the summer
rotting
rot
bananas
quick.
is a classic fruit fry. Like, it just begins your issues.
Because those fuckers go bad in like 3-4 days.
Honestly, I like bananas, but my parents were like, I don't buy bananas. Like, I'll eat bananas if they're in the house. Yeah. But I wouldn't go out of my way to buy one. But my parents will always be buying them. And then they'll be like, oh, this is for Kevin.
No.
And it's not, I'm not eating no, I'll eat one banana a week. If I see it there, I'm like, okay, I don't want to eat a full meal. I'll just peel this fucking thing.
Little trick.
But like, I'm not eating it every day because it's just too much work.
Little trick. If you like smoothies, if your bananas are going black, you can
just toss it in there.
You can toss them, freeze them. So put them in a Ziploc, freeze them.
Yeah, once your bananas start going black, just put them in the freezer. You can make a banana bread too.
You can use a banana bread or a smoothie or something like that. That's what I do. So
or if you're my mother, just leave it in the freezer while it's black until. I don't know why it's still here.
It's just there for a year.
Yeah, bro. Because you can't waste it. That's
and I'm like,
thing,
why do we have bananas from fucking last August in the
Bananas are like 40 cents each, bro. Like, they're
crazy. And she always say, I'm gonna make banana bread. Never happens.
It never happens.
I haven't seen banana bread in fucking, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the banana bread
Bananas
is like,
have got to be
you got to like really just commit to it because it's not hard, but it's just, you got to pound them and like it's, But it's good, yo. Banana bread, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's people who don't like bananas, which is weird, but like people always fuck with banana bread. Yeah,
banana bread is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some banana bread soon.
So what were we gonna talk about your music?
Yeah, we were just talking about Spotify analytics a little bit there. I was just,
it's interesting.
If you're an artist and you use, I use DistroKid still, but I'm sure it's probably easier to see those, or it should be better if you use one of those other distribution places. Their analytics should be better.
Should be.
DistroKid should be the worst analytics.
Yeah, but
really,
technically, DistroKid is the most lit.
But see, so the thing with DistroKid is like it's free you can release unlimited music if you just get the yearly membership. Whereas with places like CD Baby and what's the other one? TuneCore. It's like you got to pay based on the album or like based on the song. So if you release an album, I think it's like $50. Whereas with DistroKid, it's like you pay $30 a year or whatever, and you can release unlimited music.
Yeah.
So I think people use DistroKid more, but like you get more features with the other shit, right? Like
because we can't change people's names and shit like that.
Yeah, and also like if when looking at your money, like you can't see what each song makes. You can only see like how much money you made from iTunes or how much money you made from Spotify, right? Like you won't see like the breakdown per song, which would, I guess, be beneficial if you have like a lot of features or like if you don't produce everything, but like, we do all our own shit.
We do all our own shit. So.
And that's not a brag. That is
in-house, nigga.
Yeah.
we were looking at it, and you'd be surprised how many playlists. I mean, it's like a little personal playlist that people listen to on the way to work.
No, so yeah, like I got
a lot.
Make Me Move premiered on Ear Milk, and it got on the playlist, and it only had like 50 plays or something out of the
Ear Milk gave you 50 plays.
2 or 3 months that it was on there, and I think they have, I don't know, I don't even need to lie, but I'm pretty sure it's like 50,000 on their followers that they have.
Is it one of those playlists where they have a lot of tracks?
Yeah, it was Ear Milk throughout, right? It was like, so it was probably like 300 tracks or whatever, right?
And to go back to our playlist, we like, I don't know. There's a debate. Like, is a playlist good when it's like really long, when it's like 4 hours, 5 hours long, or is it better when a playlist is only like pretty much the length of an album or a little longer, like maybe like 2 hours?
Yeah,
2 hours or 8 hours. Like, what's better?
I love me a long playlist, but I like that for a mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know like you put that on and forget about it.
Yeah.
Like you got shit to do. You're working.
Well, see, like a playlist like Toronto Uprising could be a long playlist.
It could be.
If people were submitting, because that's the type of thing it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a vibe, right?
Yeah.
There are things where it's like you just want like a very consolidated feeling, and you don't want more than like 2 hours because you want to listen to the whole playlist. But there are things like, but that like there are. I think there's a point past like too long, right? Like there's ones where
I've seen them
where there's like 500 or like 1,000.
I've seen playlists. I've seen playlists where it's like they've literally never removed the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the playlist existed for 3 years, and they have 3 years worth of music added up.
Yeah.
So I've seen playlists where it's like 12 hours or something crazy like that.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Where it's like none of most of those songs are never getting streams because no one's making it through there. Like
that's why we make ours. Ours is like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
As of now, I mean, if we get more submissions, we might want to make it maybe twice as long.
Yeah.
But I don't know, about like 4-ish hours might be the max.
I would do like max.
No, but I would say like 4 hours is good for
Yeah.
The amount of music that's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, most people are not sitting down and listening to something longer than 4 hours, anyways.
Yeah.
You know, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you actually have headphones in for 4 hours, more than 4 hours,
exactly,
or playing out loud for 4 hours,
rarely.
Probably not that much longer, right? Unless it's like lo-fi, where it's like lo-fi could be long. Mm-hmm. That could be like 12 hours because you could literally play that all day in your house if you wanted.
That shit is,
and you don't even.
I don't know.
To half of
like
it.
I get why that shit popped so much, but like that thing became like a fucking like.
It's a thing.
Yeah, like I seen like Adult Swim, they have like a Rick and Morty version of it.
Yeah. Will Smith
version of it. Yeah, where they do that same graphic, like the same kind of style of picture with the lo-fi.
Emotional Tokyo.
Yeah,
that's where it all came from. Emotional Tokyo is the originator, the OG.
Which is it's crazy because I remember hearing about that like time ago, and I'm like, yo, this shit's hard. Mm-hmm. And then it just popped, and it's so weird, like.
Now
Trapping in Heaven.
Like, it's like a genre.
Yeah.
There's artists that are signed that make these things now. Yep. One of them he's kind of a little bit lo-fi, a little bit like Freddie Dredd. Mm. Yeah, he's a dude from Toronto. He makes like lo-fi shit. He's pretty dope. Check him out.
Freddie Dredd.
Yeah, he's cool. But he makes like a bit of lo-fi, a bit of like remix stuff, like sampling a lot of stuff. It's cool. Yeah. But there's people literally making like livings off that shit now. Yep. Not just like random Spotify playlists and stuff.
Even going back to the random Spotify playlists, you'd be surprised how many plays Kevin had on those. Like, it's like not like a lot, but it's like you'd be surprised that just random mans have him on random playlists, and he's getting like 50, maybe like 100 something plays on that random.
The way that DistroKid sorts it, they'll show you. Well, I mean, you could sort it based on listeners or based on streams or whatever, but it'll obviously mostly be based on streams. And you could look at a playlist that gives you 500 or whatever views and be like, yo, that's great. But then you'll see the ones where it says like how many listeners are listening to this, and I'll see like, oh, only 1 or 2 people listen to this, but there's 50 plays on it. There's 100 plays on it. So I'm like, okay, this person made a personal playlist. They showed it to their one friend or their 2 friends, and they're all bumping it.
Yeah.
That shit makes me so much more happy than being on a playlist that has 50,000 followers, but I only get 100 plays off of it.
With 3,000 songs on it.
Yeah,
It makes you feel like a bunch of people are either ignoring it or...
Yeah.
Or
that's the thing, because you'll get it,
songs,
especially if you're like high up in that playlist and like it has 10,000 followers and you only get 100 plays. Like you're like, oh, our man just skipping my shit like all the time.
Exactly.
And I know it's kind of weird too. I feel like Spotify plays are a little weird. Like I think you gotta listen to like a lot of this. I haven't looked it up in a while, but I feel like you gotta look up like, or you gotta play like a lot of the song for it to count as a play.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah,
but
there's at least for our podcast analytics, for example, you got a listen or stream or whatever, and then just like a start.
Yeah.
So basically, at least for podcasts, start meaning they just clicked it.
Yeah.
A listen or a play, you have to listen for podcasts anyways, it's for at least 1 minute. Mm-hmm. Then that counts as a stream or a play. Stream is 1 minute or more. So if they cut out in the first less than a minute, it just counts as a start. So you get starts and listens.
And starts don't count as plays, right?
Starts are not plays.
So if you fucking hate the episode that we're talking about, if you put our shit on, just leave it on for a minute. And then we'll get our 0.004 cents. Just leave it, please. Just leave it on for a minute. Because if you leave it on for 5 seconds and say this shit's trash.
Bro, we haven't even started the pod after a minute. Like, come on. There's nothing to hate. Like, unless you hate, yo, welcome to episode 45. Like,
yo, fuck this shit.
This fucking pod, we didn't even start in the first minute. You know what I mean? You're like, oh shit, it's in 4K. Like, so like, mans would be like, oh, these guys aren't even serious, and we don't get a play for that. You know?
Fucking news at episode 45, bro. Fucking losers.
Fucking fucks.
Fucking losers. Oh fuck! But yeah,
I think it all goes. It all ties into. I dropped an album last week.
Secretly.
Yeah.
Very secretly.
Yeah, and it was secret, but it's funny because it's not secret, because the people that I would have told it to in person, that I would have texted and been like, hey, I dropped this album, I did it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So it's a really weird thing to be an artist now, and I think it's interesting to see it from somebody's perspective, like somebody like mine who. We'll go back a little bit. So yeah, like I said, a year ago I dropped Tropic, and it did some numbers. I was expecting. So Tropic was supposed to be the thing that was supposed to be the debut, in the sense that I would be able to, after that point, be able to release things, a little bit more freely. Mm-hmm. Where, it wasn't a debut album, but it was the debut EP. Mm-hmm. And, even to get to that point, like it's a long conversation to talk. Like it's just, just basically
years.
It took like about at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years longer than it should have. So I finished mixing all of the songs on Tropic in March 2018, and that shit came out in August 2019. And that wasn't like there was bare delays. There was a couple of delays, like Sampreeth took like, let's say, a month extra to make Me Move, so that let's count that as a month. And then other than that, it's literally it just came down to like, like people weren't responding to an email, so I gotta wait another week. Yeah. Like that's what it came down to.
Yeah.
And so Tropic came out, and after Tropic came out, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and keep up the momentum at least, because we have a couple of videos waiting in the wings. Kwame Brown wasn't supposed to be done as late as it was supposed to, but it got done, and doesn't matter. But doesn't matter, so like after Tropic, I applied for a couple of grants to release a debut album, where I would have put in, I think I applied for like $20,000 to work with engineers and put together this project based on some demos that I had that would make it like a little bit of a bigger project. And I wasn't like fully sold on it, because we've talked about this, but like, you know, the high idea of an album nowadays is not like, it's not as, it isn't what it used to mean. And people still try to pretend like it is what it does mean, but we are also in a time where we're aware that like, if you're an upcoming artist, all you should do is release singles. So it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And like, but you know, because I'm so used to writing grants, it's just like, it's natural. Like, you know, with Tropic, like I had such a strong storyline for all of the songs and stuff, and it would have been nice to have the money to get the grants to do the videos for all of them. But, you know, obviously it's a first project. It's not going to happen. We're going to have more ideas.
Yeah.
Let's see, you know, so none of the grants came through, and then Wave happened. This is the beginning of this year. If anybody can remember what it was like in January and February, mans were still like, you know, expecting good things, but that didn't happen. But the end of Wave happened, and then we got Nuit Blanche. So it was just like, actually, I think within Nuit Blanche and quarantine happening, it was like 2 weeks. So then as soon as quarantine hit, it's like everybody's plans are thrown off. And then I was still, we're always thinking of ideas to come out with things. You know, I'm always thinking about, if it's not an album idea, it's like single ideas. You know, I think I told you that, guys, that I wanted to drop like the Birdo acoustic like in March. Maybe.
Yeah,
Song's so sick. By
Yeah, and I was like, so I've been mixing songs. I've been, you know, thinking about ideas. I've been sending out ideas to people to be like, hey, like I have some graphic design ideas and let's see what happens. But, you know, like people were just taking too long. You know, shit was taking too long. Then fucking Kwame Brown finally got finished. And then George Floyd got killed. And, you know, the whole world got like thrown into a completely different space. And it's like, we're all just adapting.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's funny when like people are asking me like, you know, why did it take so long for this to come out or for that to come out? It's like, don't you know that like what was going on in your life at that time?
Yeah, exactly. Your life has been put on hold as well.
Literally, if like it's a hard story, but the only reason that I can't tell you what happened is because it would just take too long, because it's literally a 3-year story as to why the difference between when Make Me Move was done and when Make Me Move got released took 3 years. It's a 3-year story, right?
Literally.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. And like, so things like, you know, why haven't you released new music? Look what happened in the last year. We had 5 months of freedom, and then we're locked up for the last 5 months.
Yeah.
You know? But I didn't want to be somebody who was holding on to music for that long. I wanted new music out. I wanted to put my shit on playlists. I had ideas that I didn't want, because there were already ideas that I had in 2015, 2016, where I'm like, all right, I just got to expand on them, or, you know, I got to make them better, or I got to, you know, use them in another way, because I got to move on from this idea, right? Like the original idea for Tropic was in 2015 was like a 4-song EP where each song would be like one of the elements, you know, so Make Me Move would have been fire. Wave would have been water, which still hasn't come out, which people have still been telling me to have that
needs
shit
to
out.
come out.
That's
I was hoping it was gonna be on this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So that's the thing is like,
drop it deluxe, yo.
That's the part. That's what everybody's doing nowadays.
Yeah,
too.
you might as well.
It's quarantine time, right? It's
Yo,
dropping
An extra 30 songs.
Add Wave to it.
So I had all these ideas where I'm like, should I drop everything that I didn't drop with Tropic, and, you know, with what's come out since that time? Should I drop a couple of things? And then eventually I was just like, all right, let me just create a Logic file, and let me just take all the songs that I had already mixed, and I'll just put them together, and then I'll just come up with like, you know, a little bit of a story. Because I remembered I had this old, you know, I'd never had a video camera when I was growing up. So all we had was this one cassette recording of like me when I was 2 years old, and I was like singing like Barney songs before going to bed. And I remember listening to that like multiple times, and I remember knowing where it was in my house, and I'm like, all right, let me use that, because it's good to, you know, kind of craft like a personal narrative. And I had this idea for this, you know, I'm always thinking about names for projects. So the name that stuck with me most recently was his name, Alu Bayera. I think that's the name.
Yeah, I think it was
which is, you know, I was doing a lot of history. I was doing a lot of research on like the history of like where I come from. My dad's from Trinidad, my mom's from India. I was looking in both of those countries. I was looking at, you know, the Aboriginal history here, because that's a lot of things that we haven't learned about either. And I seen this one name for, so, you know, Trinidad and Tobago are separate islands. Trinidad is off the coast of Venezuela. It looks like a boot. And then Tobago is like this super tiny island that my dad grew up on. And I think there's only like 60,000 people there. And like you could, if you're in Trinidad, you can take a flight to Tobago and it would take 15 minutes. I remember we got on that plane and like
you're up in the air and you're down in the
air. Yeah, like we literally went like this. I remember feeling the plane like this, and then I remember feeling the plane go like that.
By the time you're up, you're already going down.
Yeah,
like, that's wild.
So it's like
that close.
Yeah, it's like it's so weird because like I feel like. When people talk about Trinidad Tobago, they probably think about it like, you know, it's like a chain of islands because that's what most of the Caribbean is like. But it's like, it's literally Trinidad and then Tobago. And Tobago, its name was apparent. It's, you know, tobacco. It's not really the Spanish word for tobacco, but it's like a derivation of that word. But the old native, the people who used to live on that island called it Alubaera, which is this like mythical, it was like this mythical snake that had like a red jewel, and I only seen like one blog post on Google when I looked this up because I was looking up like there was one time where I was just looking up like where are the origins for all of these things, where I came from, like what are the origins of all of these names. You know, Trinidad was because Christopher Columbus, his third expedition to the Caribbean, to what he thought was India. He arrived on Trinidad and he named it after the Trinity, right? So that's why Trinidad is Trinidad. Tobago, it just became that name because Spanish explorers kind of referred to that island as tobacco, either because there was tobacco on that island or because it looked like a cigar, and that's it. It just
figured
stuck.
There was a reference there.
Yeah, but there was this old name. So I remember I had that name in the back of my head, and I had these songs that I had no idea what I wanted to do with. I think it took me about like 2 weeks to put this album together because it was songs that I had between 2018 and 2020. And I was like, what's the concept? Like, what am I doing with this? And there's so many different things. And I'm like, all right, let me make it personal. Let me like throw in these ties to like, you know, who I was as a child. And it's like, I guess I like to sing as a child, but everybody did. But it's like, how do you take that and how do you like make that something that like I can listen to later? I don't want to be listening to a project 40 years from now where all I did was sample myself as a kid because I've seen that bare times. It's like, what does it mean? You know, and it's like one of the things that you're always thinking about all these things at one time, and one of the things I was thinking about was that idea of how people people on blogs will tell you that songs or albums that are 3 months old are old. And I'm like, but, in the past 3 years, all I've been doing, 80% of the new music that I've listened to has been from the 70s or been from the 60s. It's been music that has been buried and been rediscovered by people who have been going through these obscure vinyl collections and finding these random songs from people from all these random countries. And I'm like, does that make that music any less, does that make that music any less valuable because it didn't pop in 1970 when it blew up rather than whoever, Jimi Hendrix or the Beatles blowing it, does it make it any less valuable? No. Why does music need to be new when new isn't even a concept in music? Like the thing with this album is like I wanted to do a couple things. Like there's a couple songs on here that I made last month, and there's a couple songs that I made in 2017. I didn't want to just unload. At one point I did want to just unload all of the old songs that I had so I wouldn't get sick of them. But then I also was like, no, but like if I'm gonna be listening to this shit and only my close friends are gonna be listening to this shit, I want to put the new shit on here too. So it's like, okay, let me mix it up, balance it out. And then I realized like, oh, okay, I have like enough fucking material for like 3 projects. So let me just chill on thinking that I gotta make a whole thing. So a song like Wave, I'm like, all right, I'll just throw it on the next project then, because there is, there's no need to rush this shit. So it's weird. It's like I wanted to do a fan service thing where, I wanted to make a 20-minute project. I guess not for everybody. Like I only like listening to 20-minute projects now because that's how we listen to music. You know, we can't listen to these hour-long albums
I enjoy
anymore.
the 20-minute projects. If every song is good, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's honestly perfect. Some of my favorite albums recently have been like albums that are like 40 minutes or less.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably
less,
most of my favorite albums is like 40 minutes or less because once you get into an hour, it becomes that much harder for somebody to be like, yeah, I stand by like all 60 minutes of this song, of this project, right? You know, even if there was fire, like even if later in your life you're like, no, I fuck with every one of these songs. Like it's hard to know like, yo, I'm going to put an hour out of music and people are going to fuck with all of this, especially when you're somebody who's trying to make money off of it, right? Because
the top artists in the world can't even do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna get I'm trying to think of an example. Even a Drake album, man, if it's really long,
but that's the thing. It's
you're
like
not even gonna like every song.
It's weird now because technically you are encouraged to put more and maybe not longer songs, but more songs because you get the streams,
more streams, more listening time.
So maybe maybe it would be a thing. Like maybe I should have just put like 60 songs up with like that were like a minute long.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Because then you get the more streams, but. Like so,
are you trying to play to the system, or are you trying to play like what you like?
So
like,
I have two interludes. Even though all the songs are technically they would be interludes on any other album.
On anything, yeah.
And that was the other thing too. Is like I know that a lot of the songs that I've been making in the past couple years have been like under 2 minutes, and that's not a bad thing. It's like that. I like listening to that shit too. It's like I don't want to be writing 2 verses on a trap song or a rap song or an R&B. I don't want to be writing 2 R&B verses. Yeah. I don't want to be writing 2 trap verses. I'm one artist. I don't need to be writing multiple verses on this shit.
The fact that I can like literally, if I'm driving to work, I can listen to almost your entire album.
That's great.
And that's like, if I'm in that mood, that's a feeling.
See,
and that's
that was
a literal
like,
experience.
That was the thing too. Is like I wanted a project out where like it would be like one J, you know, like one fat J. I could listen to the whole thing and
exactly. That's exactly.
I remember
exactly when he dropped it. That's what we said. I'm like, I'm rolling a spliff. I'm going outside and I'm bumping this.
That's literally why I wanted. That's literally why I wanted it to be under 20 minutes because I'm like, how long? You know, how long's a J? That's it.
15, 20.
Yeah.
That song with the trees hitting the
that last, the last couple 5 minutes just to, air out.
Exactly, yeah.
I was tripping out, man, when I heard that. The trees, because I saw you do that in person. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah. That's true. You have footage of that.
I have footage of him hitting the trees and shit. I'm assuming you took some of those sounds for that.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. I was like,
that's the thing. So there's like so many things that have been going on, right? Like we've been doing this Nuit Blanche project where...
1 minute, by the way.
Yeah.
No
just so you know, you can keep going.
Yeah, we've been doing this Nuit Blanche project where, we've been getting into like really recording the forest and like I wanted to know what that meant musically. So I've been just recording shit. I've been going out into the forest. I take my phone, I take the one recorder I have. I've just been hitting trees, hitting rocks. Yeah. And then I've been chopping that shit up into drum kits and then I've been making tracks. Like I had a couple tracks and man's really fucking with it. So I'm like, yo, I want to listen to this shit on a Spotify playlist too, right? So it's like,
and we're back. Lost in Talks 45.
45.
Like Jordan.
Hey, we're talking Kevin A album.
Alubayra, I think that's the name of the album. That's the thing too, is like I just wanted to make this, I just wanted to fuck around. I'm not gonna lie. I just wanted to I realized that we've been doing this for a long time and
yeah, man.
And it's not been it hasn't gone anywhere and it's not something that's like unnerving or like something that makes us not want to keep going. It's something that's like funny to me and it's something that I want to be like, it's something that I'll just like, okay,
we could talk about that later too.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was just like I knew that I had about, I don't know the exact number. I knew I had like 30, 40 or whatever songs where it was just like, I want them out. I want them on Spotify. People have asked me to have them on Spotify. I want them on Spotify.
Exactly.
I just want them to I have a lot of personal playlists that I listen to randomly, these type of like 3-4 hour long playlists where I just put them on shuffle and, I just wanted some songs out because I had a lot of shit out and sadly we live in this is where we live, where it's if you're an artist and you're not an emerging artist, you can't just drop your shit. Because I think for the past 5 years, it's sad, but I used to remember the times when we would make a song for Gen Squad every Friday fucking night, and then we would drop it on SoundCloud. And I miss those times, and I shouldn't miss those times because, like, obviously, yeah, you should miss those times because they're easier and they're stress-free and whatever. But, like, there should be a stress with me dropping new music, but there isn't. And it's like, so what the fuck then? Why not just drop it? If there is no stress, then why the fuck should I not drop it? Yeah. Right? And I knew that I had enough ideas at this point to be able to drop, like, if I dropped a project and it had, like, this cohesive idea, it didn't need to be, like, this thematic thing that, like, strong. We'll continue to come up with themes for projects, is what I'm trying to say. Is like, I never really cared about, like, what this debut, you know, to be honest, in the past, like, I would say, like, 3-4 years, maybe, or at least maybe, like, 2 years. I don't know if I've thought about, like, what, like, a debut album would look like, because we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. Albums don't mean as much as they used to, right? So I kind of, like, there was a point where, like, I was thinking, like, you know, what would it be to be somebody who considered themselves like a musician, you know, first and foremost, but never dropped an album. And that would be, I feel like that would be very symptomatic of this time. I feel like that is what is going on right now. Like, nobody's dropping albums, even though people are dropping albums. You know,
people are not listening to albums like albums.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Facts.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's the thing. Yeah, people might be saying that they're dropping albums, but they're not. Like, people aren't listening to them like the people used to listen to albums.
Think of the history of an album. Like, it was on vinyl.
Yeah.
And you didn't really skip it.
Yeah.
You put it on and it played.
Well, yeah,
and
like,
it just went from every song, right?
Like, I remember this one episode of Freaks and Geeks where the main character was getting introduced to Grateful Dead for the first time, and Grateful Dead is, like, this band who's, like, very known for having this, like, cult following. Like, they're one of the first bands to be known to having this cult following where, like, people would just be, like, very in on them, and they'd be following their tours and shit. Like, that's how you made it as a band back in the day. It's like, you would drop an album, you'd go on tour, and a bunch of people who, like, fucking loved your shit, they would listen to your shit day and night,
your shit, and then buy your album.
Yeah, and then they would go on tour with you. Yeah,
and then go on tour and follow you on tour.
So that whole episode was like, this main character, she just puts on the Grateful Dead vinyl, and she just listens to it in her room. And I'm like, I can't even do that. You know, like, I wasn't even able to, like, we haven't even grown up in a place where we're able to, like, appreciate an album like that. Like, maybe we have memories of that, like, 15 years ago, but, like, in the past 5-10 years, we haven't been able to, like, listen and appreciate an album. You know,
the last ones was that Tame Impala.
That's what, the 2015 was probably the last time, because that was Tame Impala, and that was To Pimp a Butterfly, and those are the last, like, 2 albums that, like, I, like, absorbed.
Tame Impala
crazy.
puts, like, such a good album. Like, they're one of the few artists.
And
the
only reason that I was able to, like, listen to those albums top to bottom was because I had a commute to York, so, like, I could listen to music for, like, an hour unfiltered. You know, like,
facts.
People don't have that in their day to day. You know,
not everyone.
Or they might. But they don't realize that they have it. Like, a lot of people are driving to work now, and it takes 45 minutes an hour. But they don't realize that they have that time to do that.
You could also listen to our podcast, you know?
Yeah. It's the same amount of time.
You could
That's the thing. It's the same. It's the same effort, right? And people see something like, oh shit, this shit's an hour. This shit's 45 minutes even.
That
like,
shit gets me excited even when I see a YouTube video that's like half an hour, I'm like, sick. I can't wait to sit down.
For the right people, though, right? Man. Like, if I see I'm not going to throw them on the bus, but if I see a Migos album that's 35 songs long, I know that half of them aren't hitting, right?
Yeah, facts.
And that's only because it's a quality control and quality control. Like, that's
funny, huh?
Yeah. But, like, that is
nice.
what quality control does, is they drop 30 song albums, and like, whatever, half of them slap. That's cool. Like, we know that you're able to get your guys to push out music that's, you know, you could push out a 30 song album every 2 months or whatever. That's great. But, like, people aren't listening to them. And it's like, yeah, sure, you're getting the streams, but are you doing anything for music in general? It's like, are we doing anything for people to be like, oh wow, the 2010s were a great era, the 2020s were a great era? Or are we going to be stuck in this era where, like, people listen to our shit after 3 months and then you forget about it because you have to forget about it, right? I feel like that's where music is right now. Like, you're not cool if you don't if you're not talking about music that isn't within the year, or, you know. And what we've gone back to talking about, it's like people aren't even going out of their way to discover undiscovered shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you even finding these people that you're supposed to be sick of after 6 months, right? It's like you're not even finding those people. All you're finding are people who have been here for like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I think in the past, like I know we don't really like follow the Grammys, but I feel like at least in the past 5 years, that best new artist category has been artists that even somebody who hasn't been listening to the radio or listening to music has been like, yo, I've heard that person like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to Lord 3 years ago. I've been listening to Khalid 3 years ago. I don't even fucking listen to Khalid. You know, it's like, how do I know about Khalid, but you're calling him a new artist last year? Like,
Yeah. But he's been out.
yeah.
Khalid is a new artist. What?
Yeah.
Khalid is one of the top R&B or whatever pop R&B you want to
But he's new.
out there. I mean, yes. I mean, he hasn't been making music for like, I don't know. Do they base new off like number of albums?
No, they basically
What do
off
they
of
base-
random shit.
Like what the fuck?
I don't know what they base
They
it on.
don't-
I can't.
I don't know
I
what
thought
a
it
new
was number
artist
of albums.
'Cause I swear to
get it.
God-
It's when you got rich.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But it's also
Like-
it's also fucked because I swear to God, like James Blake and like Billie Eilish were in the same category in the same year. You know, And it's
Crazy
like,
to me.
I knew
And
about James
Billy-
Blake in 2010.
That's what I'm saying.
Billy
and-
is new.
and Billy is newish.
I
you know?
remember
2-3 years
when I worked
now,
at
but-
Apple showing
Yeah.
mans your music, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yo, this is like a James Blake
Yeah.
type of vibe. I
Yeah.
fuck with this." And you tell me he's a new artist?
And Billie Eilish is 17 or
Yeah.
18 at the time.
Suck my dick.
But who also was new. She was like, or not new. She was
Newish.
like 14
Yeah.
when she
When she
was
started
like
making
popping.
music.
That's
so
actually
it's like,
kind of a diss when they consider you new.
yeah.
When you made it.
it's
That's
when you
such
got
a
rich.
diss. That's
I
such a
swear to
diss.
God,
The year you got
'Cause
rich
James
is
Blake's
when
like, bro, I've been making
is
music
your-
like
that-
fucking.
I
like,
swear to
how
God,
many years
yours?
the best new artist category is probably the worst category that
That's
they
a
have.
diss.
And the
man.
Grammys are terrible,
Like,
but like that's probably the worst category that
Yeah.
they have because like
sucks. Imagine you worked hard for 6 years and then you get called a new artist.
a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
What's up, Rook?
Like shit. I just got signed last year. Worked on music 6 years before that.
Exactly.
I'm a fucking noob apparently.
Crazy.
It's like shit.
Crazy.
That was dumb. That's dumb.
Anything else you want to say, Kevin?
I had a couple questions.
Yeah, go
actually.
for it. Go for you.
I mean, so when you compare this one to Tropic, I noticed this one's a lot more experimental.
Yes.
Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, you definitely played with different sounds
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you have songs, and I think you are an all around artist, but you're very much production mindset, and I think that album had very strong production in mind.
Yes.
Very very creative with producing sounds with different objects, even because you use like trees and
Yeah.
and twigs and shit.
Yeah.
And put it together. You sampled stuff. There's a lot going on, and I
There's
thought,
a lot going on.
yeah, it was really experimental. You
Yeah.
even and like I love the whole video game press start, and then you had like a press start to continue or whatever it was called, like the first little interlude,
Yeah, I get you.
middle interlude, and I like
Even,
that.
The sore throat, yeah.
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 And
That's
it's like,
crazy.
I could just go. I could go track by
you
track.
had like
yeah.
Toyin. Was it called Toyin or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah,
Where
yeah.
it's literally just like it's like a movie score, bro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
where's
no.
this going?
Yeah.
Like you. I felt like I just wanted more, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because I wanted, like, I don't know
Yeah.
where the fuck that shit was going. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, I want more. Like, where's the deluxe? Where's the deluxe? But yeah, it's very, very experimental, more than even Tropic, I would say. But you have your couple more like replayable tracks.
Yeah,
like,
the ones that people are gonna
Like
obviously
Winona
play.
Ryder,
Winona Ryder, Oladipo,
and the Birdo acoustic and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I would even say, what was it? The sandals.
Scandals animals. Yeah.
Scandals.
Scandals and animals.
Scandals.
That is my personal. The way you were wrapping it up.
That's a weird
Yo,
one, bro.
I was like, yo, Kevin's wild, bro.
That
This
was
is what
wild.
bands are doing when
And-
no one's around.
And I can tell, like, you made that again, like your other project, and even this one, you made that for yourself. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Like, that one's not for the masses. Like, the masses are not gonna want to listen to that, and you know that, because like it's just too abstract for the average
listener.
basic-minded human. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
sheep.
it's definitely yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah, no,
you made a couple of those songs pandering to that, but I think overall
it's hard
for that.
to it's hard to put out something where it's like that you need to like have a whole bunch of words before, right? It's like Before I dropped them, I'm like, yo, like, because I remember James Blake, I think on his first album, he had on Spotify, he has this thing where a deluxe edition where he like talks about each track for like, so there's like a little like 40-second spiel about like each track before, and I'm like, yo, it'd be sick like if we did a podcast where like we talk about each track, and then I could put that in the playlist that I make for the album, you know. Sick. So it's like, so this could be the episode of that, right? And it's like, but that's where it's like I have to like lean on the things that I know. It's like, okay, I know I have this outlet where if I do want to talk about this album, and I do want to talk about this album, I have something like this podcast to be able to like actually have a voice to say all these things, right? And it's like, but and like it becomes like the thing with Tropic is, so Tropic was 8 songs that were mixed, they were picked out. They were the 8 songs that were picked out of the how many songs that I had up to that point. I would say it was like the end of 2017. And those are the 8 songs that picked like a little bit of the diversity of what I had going on, you know. And they were also, at that time, they were also just like the most poppy songs, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And not to say that I had less control, because I do like all the songs that were picked for that album, but obviously like there were things where, because some of those projects, like, you know, Make Me Move, I didn't have like the full project, you know, because that was mixed by Dave Plowman, that was mixed by somebody else, right? So I didn't have like the master, whereas like with this one I had all the projects, you know, so I knew that I could fuck around with everything that I wanted to, right? And there were things on Tropic where when it was coming out, because so Tropic wasn't supposed to come out
at
all. It was supposed to be singles. It was supposed to be
Make Me Move and Withdraw and
so
Kwame. The videos.
The
right?
first single was supposed to be Make Me Move in 9-piece, and then I think so the way that the order of the album is the way that the singles were supposed to go. So I didn't think of it as an album, but I grouped them together when I mixed them on a SoundCloud little album, and then I sent it to people, and people were like, yo, when are you gonna drop this album? So I got comfortable saying, all right, I'm gonna drop this shit as a project. Like, it wasn't something that I ever thought that was, even at that time, I didn't think it was gonna be something that was like good enough or like cohesive enough to put together as a project, because it's something that we've talked about since 2011. I think is like, yo, it'd be crazy to drop 2 albums, or like 1 album. Half of the album is rap, half of the album is R&B.
Exactly. I remember when you had the parts.
We've had this idea since at least 2012.
I remember all of this shit, all the different Google fucking
y'all thought
fucking
about
drive
A-side,
folders.
B-side before the A-side, B-side.
And it was there was a time where it was part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4.
Yeah.
And it was like a 1-2 songs with just different vibes in each part.
Yeah.
I remember these times as well.
And like, even when so Kwame Brown was made in like 2016, even when a song like that came out, I was like, all right, so now we gotta have another persona. There's gonna be the rap shit, there's gonna be the R&B shit, there's gonna be the dancehall shit. So there's gonna be like 3 shits going on, and nobody's gonna know who any of them are, who produced any of them, and at the end of all of our lifetimes, they're gonna be like, yeah, we did all of that shit.
Yeah. Young Tex.
Young Tex.
Young Tex. That's still coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. But with Tropic, I think we eventually got to a point, just because there was enough time that passed where like, you know, fuck it, it's all going to be on one project.
Yeah.
And that was what Tropic was. It didn't end up, it wasn't supposed to be that, but that's what it was. And I was looking to capitalize on that. And it's like everything that happened with Tropic, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew Make Me Move was gonna be the popular song.
Yeah.
I knew that people were gonna fuck with Fall In and be like, yo, like, why wasn't it longer? I knew that there was gonna be people who fuck with like everything that happened with it. Like, I knew it was gonna happen. The only thing that I don't know is how people are gonna respond to the Kwame Brown video. Like, but I think they'll fuck. I don't know. That shit's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Man.
Kwame Brown video.
Yo, they're dissing Larry Bird, bro.
Yo, who made that,
Yo, they're dissing Larry Bird.
Holy
bro.
shit.
These niggas just put up a photo of a potato, bro. I mean, not a potato, a tomato.
Yo, I'm gonna put that on the screen right now.
They said a tomato looked like Larry Bird, bro.
It was
All right,
facts.
bro.
It was facts, though.
Anyways, let's get back to... Yo, the Brooklyn's getting slapped, yo.
Yeah.
Holy
That's crazy.
shit.
They don't even have a team, though. Like,
Holy shit.
They really don't.
Fuck. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
get back to it.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I forget. Go on.
I don't know where I was, but yeah, like, you know, the main point about this is like, so one of the things that I was thinking about, you know, our Nuit Blanche project is called Where the Trees Speak, and I was thinking about that philosophical statement where it's like, you know, if a tree drops in the forest and nobody's around to hear it. And
Yeah.
I remember reading this book about music, you know, music in your brain, and like how your brain responds to music, and the guy who wrote that book, he answered it and said, like, you know, if there's nothing around that has the sensory capacity like our ears to be able to process the sound of trees falling, and that processing into a you know, creating the neurological processes for some brain to be like, okay, a tree fell, then the tree didn't fall, because ultimately at the end of the day, all sound is, you know, when something happens, air creates vibrations, and how fast or how slow those vibrations are created, and how much those ears are able to process the nuances of those sound is how sound is processed. So our ears are sophisticated to the point where we're able to process sound based on how it interacts with the environment and how it pushes air, right? So if a tree falls in the forest and there's no intelligent life around to hear it, then the tree doesn't make a sound. And I was like, so what if somebody drops an album and nobody's around to hear it, right? And because we're making this project called Where the Trees Speak, I'm like, I feel like this is very appropriate. And, you know, to give a little bit more about the context of Where the Trees Speak, it's a project that's about, you know, where we live in the Rouge Forest, but it's about how we've kind of noticed how the seasons have changed throughout the years. You know, we've been exploring that forest for about 15 years now, and we've seen it through all of the 4 seasons and how it's changed, but it's been the same. And this idea that, like, you know, if a tree drops in the forest, I feel like, so I think about, like, you know, if the biggest tree drops in the forest, you know, imagine that day when that tree dropped. That must have been the most lit day in that fucking area of all time.
Yeah.
And nobody fucking knows about it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the difference between somebody dropping something, especially somebody who nobody knows about, and like it being out, right? Like what's the difference between my shit being out, me saying that I dropped my shit July? I don't even. So another story is when I was dropping Tropic, I was going through some PR people, and I got a premiere on Exclaim, and they said that it was supposed to be dropped, I think July 25th, but they didn't confirm it. I don't even remember the story properly, actually. So I feel like this is what happened, but they just didn't tell us that it was going to drop on that Friday, July 25th or whatever. Yeah. And then it dropped. And obviously we couldn't tell anybody because I didn't post it on DistroKid, because I was waiting for them to be like, yo, are you going to post this review? And they didn't tell us until the day that it dropped. So that post dropped on like July 25th, Friday, July 25th. And I was just like, all right, I'm just going to hold it. Yeah. And then I dropped it the next week. So that shit dropped August 1st because I didn't know that Exclaim was going to drop their review on July 25th.
So that's why the project came.
So they dropped the review before the project was out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So no one could have went and looked at it when they read it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Nobody would be able to hear the music.
Yeah.
So it makes it pretty much useless.
Yeah. And then so like I made this, you know, we made this great grand, it was probably our biggest social media moment when I dropped Tropic. Yeah. Like I loved it, but it was fucking exhausting because it's like, yo, like, yeah, this shit dropped, but like A, you know, these songs are 2 years old, and B, fucking Exclaim posted their review a week ago.
They leaked it.
So yeah, they leaked it without even leaking it. It's like they leaked it and nobody fucking caught it. And it's like I had to post this like week-old review on Twitter and nobody booked it.
Yeah.
Which, because I knew nobody was gonna book it, so
nobody's paying attention.
Yeah. So it's like if you look at my pinned tweet on Twitter, it's the fucking post, and it's July 25th, but Tropic dropped in August 1st, and it's like, who gives a shit when shit drops? You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
People care like, oh, you know, this shit dropped a year ago. Like, no, it doesn't matter. Like the day that shit drops, it matters because that's the day that people are going to be posting your shit all the time, but they might not even be listening to it at that time. And it's like, I didn't want those people who were just posting their shit on their Instagram stories, you know, on that day, just because it was like, yeah, I dropped an album on this day and they're going to be the ones who are post, you know, I appreciate, obviously I fucking appreciate it, but it's like, all at the end of the day is I want you to listen to it if you like it, you know? And it's like, I sent it to you guys because it's like, obviously you guys are going to fuck with it. My parents, my mom, when we were coming back one day from shopping, she's like, yo, did you drop your shit? Because I told her about it. We were in the whip and we were just off the highway on Morningside. I'm like, yeah, I dropped it. And my dad has the Bluetooth connection to, so I'm like, all right,
yo, run that.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll run that shit. But I got to think about the songs that I have to skip in my head. Yeah. So, but like, no. So the first track, obviously, you're gonna fuck with. So the first song features my mom, my dad, and my brother.
Yeah.
My brother, who's 8 years older than me, who was 8 years old at the time, because I think I was like under 2 years old. I was like almost 2 years old. It was like either late 94 or early 95, right? Like that's what the tape begins with, and it's like I just really wanted to start with something personal because that's all I have.
Yeah,
facts. Yeah, it's a good one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's good.
And
exactly.
it's also an interesting thing because it's like it's this thing where like my parents and my brother are like goading me to sing, and like I feel like that's sort of been the story of my life in the sense where it's like people have been asking me to sing, and it's like I want to sing, I love to sing, but like who's listening? Right?
Facts.
And
he's
that's
the tree.
Yeah.
They don't get it though.
And that's the track one is called Press A to Start, and you know I was thinking because you know Tropic had that little bit of video game implementation into it too, and I was like, you know, Press A to Start. A is the first button on Xbox and new Nintendo controllers. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool to like, because my name's Kevin A, to like have this thing where it's like press A to start. And then because I have a couple of like video game versions of my songs. So the second interlude of the album is called Press Start to Continue, and that's a video game version of Birdo, basically.
Yeah, I heard that.
And
that was subtle, but
yeah.
I got see these little things, man. You gotta pick up on.
Yeah, and
when you're listening.
So that was actually Birdo. The reason that the song's called Birdo Acoustic on the album is because there's an original song called Birdo that I made like 3 years ago. That's out on SoundCloud if you want to listen to it. It's hot too.
If you want.
That's the thing is like if you want to listen to it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I want. So it's like there's like things like that where it's like, you know, press A to start, press start to continue. Those are just nuances that I've observed playing video games in my whole life, where it's like things like that where it's like, you know, you could press A to start a video game, but then if you any middle of a video game, if you press start, or if you know there's like a movie scene, you would press start to continue or skip or to continue, right? So it's like kind of mixing these formats in, right? Like mixing video game and like all. So you know, the first song is a cassette. It's literally a cassette. Like I could bring it up. Like I actually have it like right there. But then there's also I recorded myself blowing a Super Nintendo cartridge for one of the interludes. I recorded the sound of me putting a GameCube disc in and letting the GameCube disc run. Yeah. Because I remember seeing on Twitter somebody talking about that sound of like when you put a CD in the CD drive and like letting it load. Like that's a very like old school sound, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And like I wanted, so then I was just thinking about, you know, this album in terms of like methods of recording and the different ways that we've recorded material and like how impermanent it is, even though we think it's permanent. You know, even though I might have a song and I might record like 100 takes to do that vocal, it's still so fleeting. You know, like the first song on that album, the cassette tape. I don't know why the fuck my parents decided to put a cassette tape in a radio and press record and record their 2-year-old son
exactly
record it, singing some fucking songs. But lo and behold, I have that tape now.
Exactly.
The last song on the album, it's called Voice 291 Raptors Championship Sore Throat Freestyle. The day after the Raptors won the championship, I went to the studio. My voice was hoarse beyond belief.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
You recorded that?
Yeah.
It's called the.
There's a piano there. I started playing some keys, and then I just tried to start singing, and then I cut that up.
Raptors Championship Sore Throat.
Yeah.
Freestyle.
So my voice was hoarse as shit, and I was just like, let me see what happens. And then like a year later, I listened to that song, and I'm like, yo, this shit's crazy. Like when I was recording it on my phone, I was originally imagining that I was gonna sample it or chop it up, and I might still. But like when I was listening back to it, I was like, yo, this shit's a song.
That's sick. Exactly. That's a little for the Toronto scene.
Yeah.
That's a little
That's just
a little throwback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
how we felt after the game. We all lost our voice after that game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
yeah.
You going back and recording a song with your voice gone is that's legit.
That's kind of
like Kanye when he did the Through the Wire with his fucking mouth shut.
That's kind of what I realized at like once I was almost done the album. I was just like, I want this album to be about these little moments that like didn't need to exist. I didn't need to record that sample on my phone. My parents didn't need to record that shit on tape. I didn't need to record these like GameCube samples. Even all these like, there's a couple beats that, you know, like Gray sent me, you know, Scandals and Animals.
That's and Gray.
All the Pretty Horses. Those were 2 beats that Gray sent me. I didn't need to put shit on that. I had an idea, put shit on it. Those were 2 songs that like they always stuck around, you know? And it's like, that's what this whole album was supposed to be, was like shit that didn't need to exist, but because it exists, it makes me a better artist, and I wanted that shit to be out, you know? And it's like, there was a point where I realized that nobody else can help me get this shit out except me.
Exactly. Facts.
So this... If it's only this album that I need to put out secretly, then I'm happy. If I need to put out a whole bunch of albums that are secret, I understand the ethos in that, like, I'm making music because nobody else is telling me to do it. I want to.
We're back.
Oh, shit.
2-second break.
Kevin's snapping today, folks. If you're not catching the gems, turn off the podcast.
Yeah, you might as well just
I've been putting together this tape for like a month, and there's no need for me to like brag about like how long I've been putting together a tape, because I went really hard in the 2 weeks that I did to like put this tape together, because obviously I got to mix and like, you know, put this shit together, and it was fun. That's the thing, is like it was honestly the first fucking time that I had fun in music.
Mm-hmm. In a minute.
Yeah. Because and that's literally all I wanted to do, was I wanted to bring back that feeling of when we would make a freestyle, a Gen Squad freestyle, a Freestyle Friday. And I'm using air quotes because it wasn't freestyle. We would write our fucking lyrics, but they would still be hard as shit.
But Mads wrote that in like an hour.
Yeah.
Not even.
We would get lit. We would write that shit in an hour, and it would be crazy.
Yeah.
So whatever. But that's the feeling that it. And the thing that I realized with some of the, so there are some songs that I wanted on the project, and then I took them off, even though they were done. Like I just took them off. There were some songs that have videos done, or not done for them, but there are songs that have videos for them, and I was like, should I put them on this first project, or, you know, should I just like wait, even though they're done? I'm like, no, let me just put the ones that, so the songs that are on this project are songs that didn't need to exist, but they got done. Like I love the idea, and I finished them, and that's what most of them share in their essence. Not the interludes, obviously. The interludes came together because they were interludes, but like the songs that didn't need to exist. It's so weird to say that like some songs didn't need to happen, right? But like that's how most artists go through their lives. Is like you don't know that this song is gonna come out in your life. Like sometimes I think about, you think about like, oh, where was I? It's Sunday and you're like, oh, where was I last Sunday? It's like, oh shit, I made that track between then and now. Like that's crazy. Like that's a life changer. But you can't tell that to anybody except your mans. Like I'll send that track to you guys and be like, yo, this shit's the hardest shit I ever made, and that's it. Like, and it'll sit there for a couple years, right? Like, mans will be praising Make Me Move for I don't know how fucking long before that shit actually came out. And not to be insincere, but that's why when somebody's like, yo, Make Me Move's hard, it's like, it's hard for me, not only me, but us to relate to that because we've heard that song for so fucking long, right?
Yeah.
So this project was just supposed to be something where it's like, all right, like, yeah, the music industry's fucked, but like, I still own my shit. I still know what what I like. I still know how to put a story together, right? And I put a story together, and also I put a playlist together because there were songs that were sampled, but then there were also just songs that you're inspired by, or there's songs that I've listened to in the past like 2 years that
in some sort of way contributed to
it doesn't need to be something where it's like this led to this, but it just needs to be something where it's like this sparked an idea.
This sparked an idea, or I was in a certain mood this day and this song helped me maybe feel better, and I worked on this song and whatever. But like, so I dropped this album. I think it came out last week, and for the past week I've been just like putting together a playlist that kind of contains the songs that kind of capture the idea that I want to not only have on this project but like other projects. But like there's a lot of like random, so basically on YouTube I caught wind of this like weird algorithm where like I got a whole bunch of like folk songs. So folk songs, if you don't know, it's like it's not just white people in America playing guitar and banjo. Folk songs are the music of like of cultures without any sort of commercial incentive. So for example, in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, white people started to get very exploratory and perceptive of other cultures. So they would put together compilation albums of a tribe in Africa or Indonesia or any of these like very unknown tribes, and they would kind of try to capture the music that they were creating. And often the music that they were creating was not it wasn't supposed to be a commercial thing. It was when you see the titles, it's like people listening to music while they're fucking grinding millet, or people and so it's like you'll listen to a song and it's like a choir of like women who are singing this, like they're singing like a choir harmony, but it's like they're using the percussion of the millet that they're grinding to create like the hats, or like to create the percussion. Or you have like people who are like washing their clothes in the water and they're creating water drums, and they're tribes in Africa are like using that as like the percussion to create melodies. And it's like I started thinking about like music didn't need to be this thing where people got rich. It was literally a thing that like just like enriched your souls. It was just like a thing that was a part of your life. And I feel like everything always comes back. Like music started as this thing. I feel when people think about music in the 13 or 1400s, they might think about that type of folk music that might be underdeveloped or whatever. But then I start thinking about like, some of these recordings that these people have, they're saying like, oh, it's like, one of the albums I was listening to was just like all Inuit Canadian music. So it was all people from Baffin Island, people from like Hudson Bay and shit. And like, yo, this shit's crazy. Like,
we were saying we should make an Aboriginal playlist.
Yeah, no,
we were like,
yo, I might have enough music.
If you
for
have
that.
Enough, like shit that isn't that mainstream.
That
like I'm
like,
down. Like
because that shit's like crazy. Like these guys are using their. Have you heard of throat singing?
Yeah, I've heard of that shit. Yeah.
No, what's that?
So throat singing is like it's like an Inuit type of thing where they use their voice to like basically create like two harmonies with like one vocal cord, and it's like, and it's like so crazy. Like people have so this one girl Tanya Tagak, she's like one of the most famous Canadian Inuit musicians. She won like the Polaris Prize for that, but like that shit's been going on for like years, and it's like it's crazy, and it's like I feel like all we're looking for, like all music is right now, is just like people who have found synth sounds that are different than anything that we ever heard before in life, right? Like that's all. That's the only difference between new music and music from the 70s, music from the 60s, is like sound sources that you haven't heard before.
Right.
You know, the synthesizer wasn't this thing that just opened up music to everybody, you know, because it was available. It was this thing that like dissociated the source from the sound. You know, we haven't grown up in a period of time where we're used to knowing what it means to like listen to something and not knowing where the sound comes from. That had to be so electroacoustic or acousmatic sound is this genre where you don't know where the sound source that you're listening to comes from. And that's what synthesizers are, right? Like that's what, you know, that's what I do. Like you don't know where my shit's coming from. You know where it's coming from, but like you don't know where it's coming from, right? Like, and that's where all new music is coming from. Like you don't know where all this new pop shit is. Like you don't, like, yeah, you hear the synth and it might sound familiar, but you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what the fuck it is.
The origin, which is such a weird concept if you're not somebody who's like in music for a little bit, because that's not something that in your life you're not gonna think about for a while, right? Like, where does sound come from? Like, what is a synthesizer sound? You don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know what the fuck that is.
No, I just know it. And then people ask me, like,
when you think about
it's a synth.
So synthesizers came up in the 80s or 70s. Sorry,
70s. Yeah.
Synthesizers were basically these things where it was an electronic interface where it would be a bunch of cables, and you would plug a bunch of cables from a sort like a keyboard where they would make you able to play the shit. You would patch 1/4-inch cables into a whole wall of random cables, which would influence the way that those waves create sound.
And this is before a computer.
Yeah.
So this is what they had to do.
Yeah. And like, so that was the 60s, 70s, and like that's what synthesizers were. Is like you would patch cables in and like you'd create these weird sounds. In the 70s and 80s, you can start to digitize like these wave formats, and like you would be able to like, there were these synths where you would like program shit, where you would go, you could still buy a synth from the 70s where you like program shit and be like, all right, this frequency is gonna be this much, and like you could like alter the wave sound to be like whatever you want it to be, right? But like, yeah, like that's you know, that's the extent that it got to. And then in the 80s, it just became pop music. Like synthesizers just became whatever people would put the presets on. Is like,
because like with these programs, you can just do that.
And that's where we are now. It's like, so it's like we're in this place where it's like, not only do we not know where the sound's coming from, you know, but we don't know the quality of that sound, or we don't know like the extent of like how hard it made that sound. Whereas like in the 70s, where like people weren't hearing this synth shit at all, for the first time they hear this synth sound, they're like, where the fuck did that come from?
This isn't an instrument. Like,
this
it's not an instrument.
A drum or a guitar or whatever. This is
This is not hands clap. This is
This is like,
but if you think about the synth, if you think about any synthesizer, what it should be able to do is be able to recreate any sound that you ever heard, and like I've thought about this. Like, is it possible for like a synth to be able to like, you know, like you're playing one note on a piano. Imagine you're just hearing a piano sound, and then eventually it just like transitions into a synthesizer sound, like, you know, like a basic kind of like sine wave. Like it's possible, but
I wanted to mention, sorry to cut you off. I think the invention of the synth transformed movie sound a lot, like
absolutely,
score, because you got to think about like before, like the synth or stuff like that, to create those types of those scores.
You need an orchestra,
you need an orchestra, like a symphony, to like create all these different sounds.
They still do that. They still do that, yeah.
But now you have solo composers that just create everything off off a synthesizer and
well, that's kind of like the gray area that we live in. Is like, you know, I feel like we still kind of live in an era where like movie scores are judged for their like great lush. Maybe not as much, but like, you know what I mean? Like still like,
you know, people, when it's hard.
Yeah.
You know when it's hard.
But I feel like, at least as long as I've been a musician, some of the scores that I've heard that have been hard have been like just like indie musicians who have transitioned into like a film career, but then all they're using is the MIDI instruments or like the synth instruments that they have. Like that movie It Follows, that horror movie. It was just like this guy who was from an electronic band. And I'm like, yo, this score is one of the hardest scores I've heard in my life. But all he's using is probably just one synth that he used in his time in the band. But like, that's still harder than just like somebody who's, you know, using an orchestra. And that's just what we're used to now. Like, we don't give a shit if you use 70 violinists or if you use one MIDI synth, right? Like, that's where we are in the quality of sound, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But people don't appreciate that, and people don't understand like that's, you know, that's how sound is now, you know. So for example, Toyin is one of the songs that I have on the tape, and that was actually the last song that I made on the tape. I just wanted a transition song.
It sounds like something that like you would hear in a film. So that's why I was like, oh, where's this going?
So I had this like string section on Birdo. So Birdo acoustic, I made, like I said, I made it actually I didn't say it, but I made it the day before the Raptors won, so June 13th. The night before the Raptors won, like on that night, like midnight, you know, and then the Raptors won at 9 p.m. or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I recorded this acoustic guitar version of Birdo that it was a song that I had like 2 years prior, and a couple of years earlier this year, I just was adding shit to it, and I added this like string section to it, and it sounded really great. And then I soloed it. I'm like, yo, this shit sounds crazy. Like, this should be its own song. So I isolated it, and then I remember that I took this. So there was this recording. I didn't remember putting this together, but I remember having this voice recording. So the day that it was confirmed that Toyin died, Oluwatoyin Salau, you know, great activist of what's been going on. It was confirmed that she died on June 15th. And I remember like reading that in the park by our house, by Fleming Park. And I was just trying to like, I was just sitting down and I was just like trying to like be like, okay, you know, I was reading her story. I'm like, holy fuck, like she went through all this shit, you know, and life is just going on. And I was just like trying to just sit there for a little bit, and I just remember hearing like, I was like, yo, like is there like a puja going on? Like I'm like, what the fuck is like, what am I hearing?
Yeah.
And then I actually heard it, like there was a puja going on behind me. Like, so in that park there's like a river that kind of like a small creek that kind of goes underneath, and there's like a little bridge there, and I'm like, there are people doing a puja there from
What's a puja, by the way? Just quick.
Yeah, puja is like a Hindu, like a little Hindu ceremony.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
And there's a little Hindu temple down the street from where I live. So I guess they, you know, with pujas, oftentimes there's, you know, you can do, there's pujas where you can do by a car because you're like blessing your new car. You can bless your new house. But there's shit where you like put everything that you kind of sacrifice down the river, and there's like a little creek there. So I'm like, all right, I guess they're doing it there. And I just remember like when I was sitting on the bench there, I'm like, yo, am I on shrooms right now? Because like, why am I hearing this puja in my head? But I happened to have my voice recorder on, and so I went and recorded that shit, and I recorded just a 20-second bit of it, and I didn't even remember that I did it. And then I just took those violins, and I was just like, what would be a good like sound bite to like have under that? And it would be like, and I was like, oh shit, it'd be great to have that little puja under there. I'm like, oh fuck, that was the day that Toyin died.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the day that like, you know, I was just kind of, that was one of those days that you kind of reassess life where you're just like, wow, like life is still going on even though this person died, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird because it's hard to like name a song like that, but you know, you just you know, it's so personal and you're like, that is what I was thinking about at the time, right?
What else are you supposed to name it?
Yeah.
Facts.
I feel you.
Yeah, your names are very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Are,
Yeah, let me go. Yeah, let me if I can go through.
Like a lot of them have. I can tell like some of the names of your songs. You just named them because like that was like the moment.
Yeah.
Like that's what you were feeling in the moment. It might not even be related to the song, like, you know. And then other names, like I don't even know if you can explain some of these names, like.
No, I want to. Yeah, I want to kind of go through.
It'd be cool to name, like, to explain them, like.
What'd you do? So you're
like
press A.
Okay, press A to start.
Like, if you want to go in order, but like,
I'll
I'll
go in order. Yeah,
Dual
for sure.
song,
whatever you
song.
want to do. Yeah.
So press A to start was like I said, you know, I love the video game theme and press A and it just having this idea of like me, you know, I've always been kind of self-conscious about considering myself a musician because it wasn't something that like I started with. But then when I was listening back to this tape, so this cassette tape is a lot of just like my dad just like yelling at me for like, you know, not going to sleep. But like I cut the parts that were good and I was like, oh shit, you know, like it's funny that like my brother, my mom, my dad are like asking me to sing. And like I didn't even know that I wanted to be a musician until like fucking, I don't know, 5 years ago or whatever, right?
So this memory, you didn't remember it?
No,
until
I was too.
How were you? How young were you? Like really young.
Under 2 years old.
Okay, so you definitely didn't remember it.
Yeah.
So it's cool to experience something you can't remember.
Yeah.
That was recorded. So that's
exactly.
Cool, I don't.
And
think,
that was that's part of it too. Is like, you know, kind of like, you know, you sampling yourself in a point that you don't remember for your musical career. Yeah. Like it's it's a weird thing, right?
What was this? Dual song.
Yeah, so that song I sampled.
Dual Shock.
It's on the play. So I made a playlist of like, you know, just songs that I've been listening to during the time and that I've been listening to now. That song I was listening to an Inuit. So I found this like Inuit Greenland album of like songs from Greenland that people recorded between like 1900 and like 1950. And I heard this crazy song and I put some drums on it. And I decided I had this verse from an old beat that Gray made from like 2018. So I made the song in like 2019. And it just fit well. And I'm just like, it's just this cool mashup of styles, you know? And it's like, Greenland's always been an interesting culture to me because... So if people don't know, back in the day, Greenland and Iceland were not considered to be the same thing, but basically the Danish went to both islands and they were like, yo, Iceland is shit because it has bare ice and Greenland is sick. You guys should colonize that shit. But little did they know
that Iceland, what it is the opposite.
Iceland, it was reversed.
Was gonna be the actual thriving, because Greenland is like nothing.
Yeah. Even though Greenland looks bigger on the map, it's just bare ice. Whereas Iceland, you think it would be smaller,
which
because
is
it's
hilarious
smaller,
because they named them wrong.
Yeah.
Iceland should be Greenland.
Yeah.
Green ice. Yeah, they fucked up.
So Greenland ended up being this like kind of basically Canadian land, because if you think about, so if you don't know about Canada either, Canada is 20% habitable land, and then the rest is just basically ice, because it's the territories, it's fucking Baffin Island and Nunavut and all that shit.
A lot of it's nothing. Yeah.
And everything that Greenland is basically what the uninhabitable lands of Canada are. So there's a lot of crossover. So like I didn't even fucking know that there were Inuit people in Greenland, but there are like tribal songs and stuff, and I was like, damn, like this is crazy, you know? So I sampled it and I made a song. So that was like 6 months ago, and I remember when I made that song, I was like, yo, this would be a sick, you know, because I went to school for English, so I watched, or I read a lot of like Greek tragedies and stuff, and you know, the thing with, you know, shit like Shakespearean tragedies and Greek tragedies, there's always like a chorus at the beginning, which has like, it's like a group voice that tells you like, yo, these are all the fucking problems that are going to go on in this play. And I'm like, yo, this song that I made like 2 years ago kind of has that feeling, because I made this like chorus kind of song, and it's like this very like ominous kind of feeling. And I'm like, I would love to have made this like an intro to an album, but like I wouldn't know what album to make the intro for that too, because people wouldn't fuck that with that song. But then I was just like, it's gonna be my album, right? And that's what this album ended up being. And that's why that's the second song, even though the first song is like the the intro.
Rough Rhythm Freestyle
Part 1.
Yeah.
Will there ever be a part 2?
So that's interesting too. Right? Yeah. So that song, like I said, we were making the Nuit Blanche score, and I made this like drum kit based on just like tree samples and rock samples that I had from the Rouge, and that was actually the first song that I made. I just did a little freestyle on piano and sang some random melodies, and then I chopped it up, and I'm like, all right, this should be cool. Let me see if I could come up with a drum kit. And I had those drum samples that I had, and then I chopped those up, and then I made it, and I sent it to you guys, and you guys were fucking with it, and I'm like, yo, I'm fucking with it too. So I'm like, if I ever drop something very soon, this is something I'm gonna want to fucking drop. But so the original bounce that I had was 8 minutes, because that's how long the kind of freestyle that I had was chopped up. And I was like, I'll cut it up and I'll make it like 2 parts maybe. But I'm like, if I cut it up and say this is part 1, and then I just never drop a part 2, that's sick. If I do drop the part 2, that's sick. If I drop a part 2 and it's a completely different song, that's sick. So it's like,
it doesn't
there's better options. So I was just like, yo, let me just call it part 1 and like, not worry about it too much,
All the Pretty Horses.
All the Pretty Horses is the oldest song on the tape. It's actually made right after Tropic was finished. So the last song on Tropic was Alkaline. And I remember being in the studio with Gray and showing him All the Pretty Horses, because I made it literally that day or whatever, when we were like finishing the final songs of Tropic. And it's always been a weird song, because I don't know the time signature on that song, and like like it's a weird beat, but just like I always loved the harmonies that I put on it. And the thing with Tropic is, I was never too fully happy with like the lyrics that I put on that album, even though, people don't care about lyrics. It's a weird thing where it's like, the artists obviously care about the lyrics, and I'm trying to think about being somebody who has the lyrics out, 10, 15 years later, not just like 2 years later. So I want this project, first and foremost, if it wasn't going to be songs that people fuck with, I just wanted lyrics that were out that I fucked with, And this was one of the songs that, even though it doesn't have a lot of lyrics, it's just like one of the strongest like written songs that I had in a while.
Scandals and Animals.
Scandals and Animals, that's Zach's favorite song.
One of the good ones.
That's so sick, bro.
That's one of the... Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I wrote that. So that's the second oldest song. I wrote that in 2018, and that was just I went to the studio, and Gray showed me that beat, and I was just like, yo, this shit just reminds me of fucking G Unit, and I just want to rap.
Yeah, exactly. It
I just want to.
I hear that, and I want to rap too. Yeah. And you want to be a rapper.
Yeah, because I feel like that's our generation especially, like we just want to be rappers,
Yeah.
But like I feel like me and Jamal especially, like we grew up in a time where we got to be rappers, but there was a point where it's like, yeah, you can't rap anymore. Yeah, we're still we're still the hardest rappers, but we're not rapping.
Yeah, we're not rapping.
But this one, I just wanted to rap,
I feel you. I know those ones.
Press start to continue. That's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
That's just a little interlude transition playing off the video games.
Oladipo.
Are we saying that right?
Yeah, that's a basketball player.
Okay.
Well, his last name. Victor.
I actually didn't know that.
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, Oladipo. Okay. I wrote in I think it was 2018 as well.
The lyrics on that are crazy.
Yeah. And
Like that's my girl's favorite song, and I don't know, it's just so like.
So that song I just so at that time that was 2018. I just wanted to get into just like different trap, you know, and I just wanted to get so that song isn't like it's not 4/4. I just wanted to see like different ways that we could explore trap because we were kind of like stuck in this system and I feel like I always kind of sometimes I always make kind of I like to call them like sister songs, you know, like sister stars are a thing that you see in astrology where like stars will come up at the same time, and I feel like I always kind of have the same energy and I make like songs that kind of like feel the same. So this song and Super Mario RPG very much have like the same kind of energy where like they're like unconventional trap songs, and I just kind of wanted to like make songs that have like a trap feel, but like you wouldn't know that they're not 4/4, right? And like this one, like I made that beat and I had a different like flow to it, but then I freestyled like a second flow to it where I was just like, I want some pho, you know? And I was like, yo, that line's hard.
That's facts, so like,
yeah.
That's what I really want.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fuck and have some fun.
Yeah,
I want some fun. Like,
and like, so, you know, sometimes
hard,
like that's all you need to write a song. Like sometimes it takes more than that. Sometimes you need like the whole, like, yeah, I want like this whole vision. Sometimes all you need is like one line. Yeah. And like all I needed was like,
twist.
My
dick is a dish. She asking for more.
So that
like porridge.
So like Oliver Twist, I got good Dickens to dish. So Charles Dickens wrote Oliver
They're not ready
Twist,
for the bars,
and they're not ready for that.
We're not gonna get into that because there's no need. You know why? Because they're not ready for the bars because they're not listening.
They're not. That's,
so you don't have to spell it out for them.
You really
bro.
gotta be listening.
They aren't ready for this shit.
That shit's actually too clever.
But also, before there's like a little like 10-second gap between before the Oladipo starts, and that's actually Malvern Town Center. That's like a voice sample that I recorded from Malvern Town.
Shit, man.
And I'm gonna reuse that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yo, like I can use this to kind of like bring up things in the next, like the next episode, right?
Exactly.
Even though nobody's listening, but
exactly.
We listening. All right, moving on. We're on the Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
She's a great actress.
Yeah, she is.
Flea flicker.
Yeah, what's the
Ian was wondering about that earlier today.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why is it called flea flicker?
So I was thinking about a clit, but maybe
no. I think
so. I made Winona Ryder in top of 2019. I remember we were at that. What fucking party were we at? Where we were
in 2019?
2019?
It was the Zach Fax.
The Zach Fax thing.
Yeah.
Free Society or whatever.
Yeah, that's when I made Winona
MVP
Ryder.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry.
I just wanted to make a trap song, and I wanted to make like a fast trap song, like something. I was listening to Bucks by Ghost.
Yeah.
And I was
shouts out Ghost. Shouts out Ghost. Shouts out OTMG. Yeah. Shouts out YK. Shouts out Automandum.
Bucks is a crazy track.
Bucks
is crazy.
Bro.
Bucks is crazy.
So I just wanted to make that kind of tempo track, right? Yeah. And so I was like working on a beat with that kind of track, and then coming with the melody and whatever, and I was coming up with a hook, and I wanted to come up with a hook that was like talking about like, you want to only ride up with us. And like Winona Ryder was like she was known in her past for being like a kleptomaniac, like but I didn't want to bring that up about her because I fuck with her. She's like cool, like she's in Stranger Things now, like she's cool, right? So I was just like, I'll come up with some other shit. And so I was like writing the rest of the hook, and I liked the idea of like how, we're up and all the fleas want to flock, right? And I was thinking about there's a football play called Flea Flicker, where basically the quarterback passes it back to somebody, and then the running back has it, and the running back passes it back to the quarterback. So it's kind of like a trick play. And I was just like, I like that idea of like trick plays and fucking around with somebody, and I like that idea of that track. So I named that project Flea Flicker, but like I just kept kind of going with the words of that song, and that ended up being one of my favorite. Like, even though that was kind of like one of the most like straight up, it was just like kind of like, you know, all the other songs are kind of weird. Like that song, like I just like that song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah,
the song it's really catchy.
Yeah, and
it's really catchy.
It's for sure most people's like standout.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like the most like song that's not like too experimental. It's like,
so that was the thing with the project too, is like I didn't want it to just be something where it's like, oh, this guy's just like doing like a whole bunch of weird shit on it.
This guy was like, no, the fucking woods.
Yeah, it's like, no, like obviously like I make shit that like I fuck with too, and it's like not too crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Winona Ryder was always one of those songs where I'm like, yo, this shit's like hard, but like I feel like it could like fit on like just like any kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, yo, let me just throw it on this shit. And because especially so with this project, basically I was just looking for the songs that like didn't need that much mixing, like, you know, the songs that like didn't need that much more, the songs that, the thing with Tropic is there were songs that you know, obviously could have benefited from more producers or more instrumentalists or whatever, right? But there's a point, like, so Winona Ryder is like the perfect example of like a demo that like I sent to you guys, and I knew that no matter, even if that song was mixed by, let's say, Alex Toomey or whatever, right? Like some great mix, like it got like a whole bunch of instrumentalists and blah 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 on it. The demo would still be this very quaint, like listenable song, and it's like I didn't want to disrespect those like types of songs, because there are songs on Tropic like that where, you know, the songs on Tropic, they're most of the demos like you could have listened to and it would have had that kind of same experience. And not that it's like a waste of time to like mix those songs and like make them better or whatever, but like there's always like this like weird like quaintness or like this weird like quality that some demos have, and like I wanted a project out that like had that still retain those weird kind of demo kind of qualities, because I'm still fucking making music out of a basement. Like, it's not like I'm doing anything different. It's not like I'm making music in LA. Like, I'm still fucking making music in the same place. So like, why would I try and make something that's like more like, you know, you hear artists where it's like, okay, yeah, this first project, obviously they were working in their bedroom, and then the second project, like they got all these connects, so that's why all this shit sounds more lush. And it's like, that's not where I was in my life. So like, why would I try and make this shit sound better if I'm still in the same fucking place, right? Like, no, like let me, if Winona Ryder was made with the same kind of energy as any of the songs on Tropic were made, like let me keep that, right? Because there were some songs on Tropic where when I was listening to the demo and I was listening to the finished song, I was like, damn, like I kind of like the demo, like you know, there's that lo-fi kind of quality that, like, you know, is appealing, that people who are listening on Spotify don't even notice, you know? So it's like, what's the difference? Like, why are you spending all these hours like mixing this shit? Like, it doesn't matter. And that was the main point of this project, is like, I wasn't at a point in my life where people cared if I was at a higher point in my life. And people didn't care if between Tropic and this project that nobody even still knows about, if I was in LA or if I was in Toronto in my like they didn't know if I was in my basement mixing Tropic, and they didn't know if I was in LA mixing this project. So what's the fucking difference? I mean, just make this shit like my shit, you know?
Yeah. What's the next one? Undying, yeah.
Undying.
So that that song had a couple of different titles. So I made that song a month ago. I recorded just another freestyle of just like random shit. I recorded some samples from the Rouge Forest, and then I just recorded some shit from some synths that I had like lying around, and I had this beat. And so basically the idea with the Nuit Blanche project, before it got delayed, so it was supposed to be out this October, which we were expecting, but we weren't expecting because, you know, they weren't telling us anything. Yeah. And we were expecting it to be out next October. And that's what happened. It's going to be out in October 2021. So I was just like, you know, let's just make as much music as possible, because this shit's going to be hard no matter what. Like, especially after, so, you know, Rouge Rhythm Freestyle Part 1, like, I made an 8-minute song, and that shit was crazy. So I'm like, yo, I can make a 12 hours 12 hours core. If I have a year, like, I can make that shit. So I made a second track that was like 13-minute song, and I had like this instrumental that I was like, I wanted to put some shit on it, and I put some shit on it, and that's what ended up becoming Undine. It was more about me just kind of expanding lyrically what I was doing. You know, lyrically the song is about you know, what's going on right now. Like so Undine is it's a French word for sirens. You know, like the mythical mermaids who used to lure sailors in on the rock and then make them crash into the whatever. But I was just thinking about sirens in general, like sirens, you know, like sirens in the traditional sense, but then sirens in the police sense. So, you know, sirens lure you in and they make you believe that, you know, they're this thing that's gonna make you cure this love or whatever, and blah blah blah. But then sirens in our context are about police sirens, and there's this idea of, I feel like, at least in our generation, of police sirens being this thing that's kind of inevitable. Like we can't avoid it, right?
Right.
And police sirens kind of call to us the way that the old sirens, the mermaid kind of sirens, kind of call to us, right? And there was that weird connection that I don't think anybody put together, and I just wanted to put that on a song. And you know, it's a minute long, but I want to expand on that more, like this idea of like, you know, us being lured to this thing that's already ingrained in us, you know, and because I've seen so much evidence of people not understanding how the police system is corrupt, and like I feel like we need to get more into that, and that's that's why I also wanted to just release more music. It's just I wanted more music out that had more lyrics that were of me speaking of that, right?
Sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Sick.
Toyin, we already discussed, I believe.
Yeah.
Birdo is a song that came out. It's an acoustic version.
Yeah.
But you can talk about.
Yeah.
mean,
So
okay.
so Birdo, I wrote in 2017, and I mean, it didn't have that much of a meaning, but
Birdo's a character in Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
even that, like the song didn't have anything to mean with that. Like you know, fucking 3 years ago, you know, I was an R&B singer, so I was kind of just trying to write about love, and I was trying to think about things that meant love at the time, and things didn't mean anything at that time because I wasn't in love. So I was just talking about, you know, things in general, and I was just talking about like how you know, we fall into these traps. We believe that we believe in love, and I feel like that's the kind of generation that we grew up on. Like we grew up to believe that this thing exists, and we ourselves had to kind of deconstruct that idea and be like, yeah, we might not reach that kind of love that people have taught to us in our lifetimes. Like we might not get that. Like
not everybody is that blessed.
Which is hard, because that's the only thing that was kind of taught to us that was like the saving grace, especially for people of color, where it's like, you're not gonna get the bright end of the stick, but like at the end of the day, you might find somebody that will
fucks with you.
Might find somebody that fucks with you, right? And like that was kind of the only thing that was taught to us, and you know, so I wrote this song like Birdo like a few years ago. It was kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a video game. It's kind of like, you know, you're taught about these things, but like these people end up being these figures in your life where it's like they're preaching the same thing to you. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you love. And then I just last year, it was literally the night before the Raptors won. It was the night before Game 6. I just randomly decided to make this like acoustic guitar version of Birdo, and it turned into that version. But then I changed it a little bit, and I added some shit underneath it and stuff, and it became more than what it was, you know, which which makes sense because as you grow as artists, you learn more about yourselves, right? So it's like the lyrics that I wrote for that song became more than what they were, right? And that song, I put that song on there because I knew that was going to be the song that would probably be the one that would be the like pop one on the album.
Yeah.
Because you need that shit on the album.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Sometimes you just gotta
Yeah.
cater to certain people.
Yeah.
Certain sounds. And
Yeah.
You just know that, my stuff, it might sound weird, or I hopped into my trap shit, but I'm doing it for a reason.
Exactly.
It's for these people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what that song was.
It's also still you at the end of the day.
It was the glue, but it was also like, it was also like the thing that was going to be like me at the end of the day, right? And, I think is a great example of like what we represent. Like Birdo as a title is a throwaway. Like I didn't give a fuck about Birdo.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Birdo except the fact that like as a youth I used to run up on that fucking bitch
And dash him.
and dash him with some eggs.
Hopping on it.
Yeah, he used to throw some eggs at me and be like, "Yo, fuck that, yo, throw some eggs back at him." Like I didn't think anything about Birdo.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, yo, like that's a great signature of the time that we live in. So Birdo is the first acknowledged transgender character in video games, which Nintendo should have no claim to get because they stumbled upon that like a joke because they didn't even know what the fuck they were doing with Birdo. But like also like that is like a very, if you think about Birdo in our life, like if you think about like when we played Super Mario 2 in our lives, like that's a very interesting time in our lives, right? And like that is what we grew up on.
Yep.
And
seeing Birdo, like fuck.
All right, and then we kind of explained the last one, Voice 291, the Raptors championship.
Yeah.
I'm so glad
Sword
that,
Trout.
I'm so
freestyle.
glad that was the last song, even though that's probably like the song that I listened to the least because it was kind of like it was just always on my phone, and like I remember like having it there, and I recorded it into Logic, and I appreciated the intent, but like I had no idea what I was gonna do with it because it was always
It's just a raw thing.
Yeah.
Spur of the moment recording.
So basically what happened was the Raptors won the fucking NBA championship of 2019.
Which we never really, honestly, like, we never thought that would have happened.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Like, as sports fans, we're pretty pessimistic in Toronto, I'm not going to lie. So,
yeah,
no one thought that shit was
what would, especially our generation, like what would we have been? We were literally born in the generation where the Jays just won. So
yeah, like we hadn't experienced a championship across any sport in our lifetime until now. Like you guys,
the Jays, they won on my birthday.
You guys are in your late 20s, finally experiencing a championship on anything.
Yeah.
Anything, hockey, baseball, basketball, nothing, dry.
Nothing. Not even at your own school.
Nothing. And we don't even have a football team. Well, sorry, CFL, but different story. We don't have an NFL team, so it doesn't even count. We should, though. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're prejudiced to us. So.
Game 5 of the NBA Finals, we got slapped because KD was still playing. Mm-hmm. I remember going home on the subway from downtown to Scarborough, as you would, and being like, this is the worst time of my life. And that was Tuesday or whatever, and my voice didn't fully recover. And then I remember going back for game 6 and being like, all right, yo, we got to do this. You know, we have to run this back. And we did it. And we did. Man. We fucking won.
Crazy.
We fucking won.
I thought about that the other day. I was like, oh shit, the Raptors are champions. Crazy, bro.
We fucking won, bro.
It's like that happened in my life. I have like so much stuff I could tell my kids, bro, that I saw.
Yeah.
We witnessed weed get legalized.
Yeah.
You know? Raptors won. Like, this is crazy shit.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Crazy shit.
It's crazy.
That might be something that our kids will never be able to understand.
Never.
Which
they
is
won't.
Crazy.
They'll never be able to understand that.
Which is fucked. Because like I didn't think I would be able to understand it.
Yeah.
I remember like when I was downtown, I'm like, yo, I don't get it. I don't get what's fucking going on.
Yeah.
Yo, mans were
Fuck.
Wow.
Pick it up. I'm sorry.
This guy, that's why you don't bring White Claws in the fucking basement.
Oh, my bad.
This guy.
mans were on fucking like Young Street, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
we were in those shits, bro, and we were like in the subway.
Crazy.
Like, yo, like, I'm going down fucking College Station right now. Wait, what? We won a champ?
Yeah, man. Crazy.
But yeah, we won the championship, and like the next day, I was at the studio and my voice was gone. Like, I couldn't go to the championship parade because I was sick. But the next day, like, you know, my voice was hoarse because it was the prior days or whatever. And I was at the studio and there's a piano there, and I was just like, yo, let me see what happens. It was just pure feeling. Like, I recorded that voice note. I actually forgot about it for a couple months, and I pulled it back like a few months later. I'm like, yo, this shit's hard, bro.
Yeah, man.
And I played it. I think I played it a couple months later, like while we were hosting the Wave session still, and I was like, I played it for like Suka and them, and they're like, yo, you should just release this, like unfiltered. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should, because, you know, like, as a producer, you know, you're thinking like, all right, I gotta, you know, make this, and I gotta like chop it up and like, you know, make it so that you wouldn't even know that I was on it. But I'm like, I think I just gotta release this. Like,
just drop it.
Yeah. And it was so. That's like, that is like the essence of the album in of itself. It's like that kind of core of that song that didn't need to come out is like the essence of all of those songs, where it's like none of those songs needed to come out, but it's like they all had that core in them where it's like, yeah, no, people fuck with this. I fuck with this. This shit should come out. All right, let's come out.
It's time.
Yeah.
That's sick, yo. That's sick. So you heard it here first, folks.
You literally heard it word
for word from Kevin A himself.
World premiere.
World
premiere.
Damn, son, where'd you find
Broke down
these?
every song. That was really good.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank
man.
you.
So you guys just
Appreciate
heard
it.
Kevin spit for what, 2 hours, 2.5 maybe.
That was like, you don't have to talk for the next 3 pods.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're good.
Exactly. And he's a little bit tipsy, and you can hear the progression to his tipsiness towards the end. It's perfect.
I hope you heard that.
Yeah, man, I heard it.
That was real. It's a great pod. Thank you for listening. Anything else? Any last words? And we're gonna wrap it up here.
I just want to shout out the niggas. You know what I mean? Again, shout out Ghost, shout out YK, shout out OTMG, shout out Winona Ryder, shout out Flea Flickers, shout out fucking the Raptors champs. Shout out Kevin A. Make sure you listen to the fucking Toronto Uprising playlist. Make sure you listen to Kevin A's new album that he dropped secretly without you even knowing last week, and we've been bumping it for a while,
bro,
because you're not on shit, because you don't care.
You can't. You're like, yo, what's coming up in Toronto?
What's
yo,
coming
what's
up?
next?
What's happening?
next?
But
Bro,
you don't do your research.
Toronto Uprising.
Toronto Uprising. That's what's next.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
I don't know, man.
And if it's not what's next now, next month is what's next.
Yeah, man.
Whoever's up next is gonna be on that shit.
I'm getting to a point in my life where I don't know what else to do for you.
We're watching and we're listening.
Trust me,
Everyone.
we know what's up next.
Yep.
We've been up next.
We've been up next.
We've seen up next.
Yep. Oh,
And
fuck that
up
nigga.
next.
Fuck up next.
Fuck up next.
Fuck that guy. He's the one. Yo, up next is the one guy I'm calling out, bro. Straight by the name. Up next with a 6.
Next.
Snake.
Up next.
Finesser.
Up N6XT.
Up next 6 with a 6. Up
Y'all-
next.
Fuck him, yo.
Y'all
Fuck
just
up
call out
next.
a man on the pod.
Yeah, fuck up next, nigga. Anyways, thank you for listening.
We're
to
up
the pod.
next.
Thank you for listening to the Lost in Talks whoa.
This is the
Lost
sloppy
in
pod.
Talks. Yeah, I can't even see.
pod.
This guy got the Remy down here. I don't know what's going on.
Lost Docs Podcast, episode 45.
45.
45. Checking in later. See you next
Long
time.
pod. Deuces.